as we now await the coldest temps in recent memory, with wind chills down to 60 below zero into Wednesday.
We continue to urge residents to help each other out and take all necessary precautions. The snow and extreme cold are not only inconvenient, but also very dangerous.
Chicago Emergency Management's Rich Guide is telling people to stay home if they can. The cold expected to shutter schools and businesses across the region. Lisa.
Thanks, Jeff. With federal workers affected by the recent government shutdown back at work, lawmakers head to the bargaining table later this week, trying to iron out differences on border security. Though President Trump still says some kind of barrier is needed for effective security, the top Democrats remain opposed to a wall. A temporary spending bill runs out in less than 3 weeks. An unexpected twist at the New York trial of Mexican drug kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman.
Hollywood meets the halls of justice as Mexican actor Alejandro Etta takes a seat in the courtroom. He plays El Chapo in the Netflix series Narcos Mexico. He says his reason for being there is to work. He's set to spend a few days in New York observing the trial from the gallery. El Chapo's lawyers told their client that there was a special guest in the room. Observers say when El Chapo acknowledged Etta, it seemed to make the actor a little uncomfortable.
Fox's Gernal Scott. Guzman faces life in prison if convicted on drug trafficking and money laundering charges. The Dow's down 234. This is Fox News.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for our all-new Ultimate Cheesy Garlic Bread. How would you like it?
I'll take a skeptical grandma.
Set in her ways?
A smidge.
Grandma, try this ultimate meatball marinara made with ultimate cheesy garlic bread. Melted mozzarella, parmesan, garlic butter spread. It's just like yours.
Like mine? My grandmother's recipe?
Try it.
You know, my grandmother's cheesy garlic bread was never all that.
Subway, make it what you want. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
There's a reason every day a Guam homeowner is getting a solar system installed by Micronesia Renewable Energy. It's because MRE is the most trusted name in solar. With more solar energy solutions than any other solar company on island, homeowners have a choice to go solar for zero money down or take the path to ownership. Whichever way, it keeps our skies blue and your pockets green. And with the most experienced solar technicians and an energy production guarantee, there are no worries. Call 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, the smarter choice.
The utility company blamed for some of California's deadly wildfires is being accused of failing to pay some of the people who lost homes.
An attorney representing some of the victims of the 2015 Butte fire say Pacific Gas and Electric has started skipping settlement payments owed to them. 2 people were killed in that fire. Nearly 1,000 homes and buildings were destroyed. PG&E says with all the liability they're now facing from more recent fires, it's just too costly to pay those settlements that they already negotiated. PG&E had said they planned to file for bankruptcy, but things shifted after one of the worst 2017 wildfires was blamed on a private company rather than PG&E. Now a private investor group has reportedly offered to step in and help them avoid the bankruptcy filing. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Meantime, insurance claims from 2 deadly wildfires last November now top $11 billion. California's insurance commissioner says that includes more than $8 billion in damage from the fire that killed 86 people around the town of Paradise. Prosecutors are going after a drug company executive they say contributed to the opioid crisis.
Billionaire John Kapoor, founder of Insys Therapeutics, along with 4 former employees, accused in a scheme to bribe doctors into prescribing a highly addictive fentanyl spray meant for cancer patients with severe pain. Prosecutors saying many patients who ended up with subsys prescriptions didn't have cancer. Kapoor allegedly led the plan in which employees of the Arizona-based company conspired to pay doctors millions in bribes and kickbacks to boost sales.
Fox's Lillian Wu, the 75-year-old Kapoor, says he's committed no crimes and believes he'll be vindicated. A dam collapse in Brazil now blamed for at least 60 deaths. The search continuing for nearly 300 more still missing. That collapse still under investigation. The dam was holding back mining waste from the world's largest producer of iron ore. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
At Chili's, our burgers stack up with anyone's. Handcrafted to order, smashed to lock in flavor on a toasted brioche bun. Our burgers are all kinds of perfect. Choose from the Chili's Chili, the Mushroom Swiss, the Ultimate Bacon, or you know what? We dare you to take on the Boss Burger. Loaded with smoked brisket, rib meat, jalapeno cheddar sausage, and bacon. We may have really out-burgered ourselves. Our burgers are more than a handful, served with garlic dill pickles and fries. So hurry in today and enjoy our juicy, melty, yummy, handcrafted creations. Perfection between 2 buns. Chili's. more life happens here.
Are you not getting paid what you're worth? Or not reaching your full potential at your job? If you're pioneering, adventurous, competitive, love talking to people, and want to earn $100,000 per year, sell cars on U.S. military bases with Military Auto Source. Start on Guam, stay on Guam, or move to Japan or Korea. To see if you qualify, visit maseastasiarecruiting.com. Military Auto Source, helping you reach your full potential.
Here at Make-A-Wish, our Wish kids wish for all kinds of things. A lot of them involve traveling to faraway places. On Monday, February 18th from 6 until 10, we'll be holding an airlines mileage drive with me, Ray Gibson, on 93.3 The Point, to help us grant these travel wishes. So if you've got spare airline miles, you can donate them without any transfer fees. Your donation will go a long way, and so will our Wish kids.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 6 a.m. this Tuesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Games of chance at the Liberation Carnival and other fairs on island may be allowed again if Bill 29 gets signed into law. The measure was introduced yesterday by Senators James Moylan, Jose Terlahi, and Joe San Augustine. Would authorize the Mayor's Council of Guam to determine whether limited games of chance should once again be authorized and establish rules and regulations for such games. The bill does not specifically authorize gambling, and it does not say what types of games of chance would be permitted. That's left up to the Mayor's Council. Current ban on games of chance was introduced in the last legislature by Senator Talina Nelson, and it is now Public Law 34-15. The result has been a loss of gaming revenue for the Mayor's Council. In reaction to this new bill that would allow the mayors to revive gaming, Senator Nelson issued a release yesterday saying the people of Guam have voted against gambling on at least 5 occasions, and although the mayors may need more income, gambling is not the solution, she said. The mobile X-ray cargo screening system at the island's seaport is broken. The maintenance contract to repair it has expired. As a result, there is a reduced number of containerized inspections that customs officers can conduct. That, according to Guam Customs and Quarantine Information Officer Jesse Santos Torres. The mobile X-ray cargo screening system has been operated by Customs to scan incoming cargo containers for contraband. Santos Torres said customs officers are now using a risk management approach to determine which containers require further inspection. A new 3-year service contract to cover repairs for the X-ray screening system would cost about $216.5 thousand or $72,000 a year. The cargo screening system was originally purchased by the Port of Guam back in February 2015 for $759,000. The funds came from federal grants awarded to the port by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and the Federal Emergency Management Agency. We'll have more news after this.
Picture KFC's world-famous extra crispy chicken. Now, imagine it glistening in hot honey sauce. Just think about the crispy, sweet heat. Now it's in your sights. Reach for it. Almost there. Oops, this is a KFC radio commercial. But you can make your picture a reality by getting a Hot Honey Tenders basket.
Also available in Hot Honey Chicken Family Meals. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Introducing Exchanged, Guam's first online and mobile remittance to the Philippines. Exchanged is the easiest and fastest way to send money to your family and friends anywhere in the Philippines. Download the Exchanged app or visit their website, exchange.me. Sign up, remit, and get a chance to win a trip for 2 to Manila. Deluxe accommodations at the Belmont Hotel at Resorts World Manila. So sign up and remit now at Exchanged. Promo ends March 2nd, 2019. Conditions apply. Also avail of Exchange dollar to remit promo. Visit exchange.me for details.
10 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. U.S. Attorney Fred Black is accusing defendants Raymond Martinez and Juanita Mosier of jury tampering. Martinez and Mosier have twice gone to trial in district court here on Guam on allegations of trying to smuggle 8 pounds of meth into the island from California. Both trials have ended in hung juries. Federal government has now refiled the case in California, but it can't proceed there until all the motions here on Guam have been resolved. Defense attorneys want the case dismissed. Black responded yesterday by raising the jury tampering allegations during a hearing before Chief Judge Francis Tadenko Gatewood. He said that dismissing the case with prejudice here would impact the case in California. And worse than meth distribution, said the U.S. Attorney Black, is the defendants turning justice on its head. Black called FBI Special Agent Joshua Kipp to testify yesterday about recordings of phone calls made between Mosier and former Guam police officer John Mantanonia, in which the two allegedly appeared to be talking about getting people to show up in force to support the defendants in front of the jury. In another recording, payoffs were discussed. No decision was reached yesterday during the court hearing, and that hearing resumes today. The total salary cost for the office of the governor under the new Leon Guerrero administration are about $629,000, lower than they were under the Calvo administration. That, according to Lester Carlson, the acting director of the Bureau of Budget and Management Research. The staffing pattern released by the Leon Guerrero administration on Saturday shows nearly $4.2 million will be spent on the salaries of the 79 people who have been hired to work at Adelup. In January of last year, about $4.8 million was budgeted on salaries for roughly the same number of employees in the January 2018 staffing pattern of the Calvo administration, according to Carlson. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now take a look at weather.
Well, let's see what we got here. Cloudy and breezy, scattered showers, northeast winds 15 to 25 miles an hour, decreasing after sunset. Highs near 85 degrees and overnight lows should be about 76 degrees. Watch the sunset tonight at 6:19 and sunrise this morning. Kind of a wet, kind of almost steamy sunrise this morning at 6:48. Seems to be a lot of that misty rain falling again.
Yeah, it won't be steamy, but it definitely will be wet. Got ripples of rain moving in. I posted about this on my...
I'm going to get there. I want to see the ripples. Wait.
Yeah.
Hold on. It's a different... there.
And as I explained it on a post that I made yesterday, what you're seeing here on radar is exactly what it looks like. If you've ever seen water blowing across a little pond of water, when the wind's blowing across it and it kind of ripples up, same thing here. Air operates just like water. It's just not as dense. Here we've got some moisture tied into these little ripples of energy as they slide on across Guam. This is actually the main push of this shear line that's come on in, and it's going to drift around and hang around here for the next couple of days or so, probably through tomorrow. So we're looking at some scattered showers again today and tonight. Should clear up, though, and the winds are going to pick up as we get on through the rest of the week. Looking at the satellite here, got some blobbage down south, but that's really no big deal, just a flare-up of stuff. It just kind of happens that way. You can really see how the high pressure to our north is settling in here now. Got the little clouds up there and looking kind of cold, and we're not in the Philippines, but actually they're setting some records in the Philippines with low temperatures.
Oh, low temps, really?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. This is the same big air push of air that was coming off of Japan last week when we talked about the sea effect snow and thing, and I knew it was really, really cold air that pushed on through, and relatively speaking, yeah, it has been. Still getting some energy pushing on down towards us, and that'll continue for the next couple of days as it settles in and gets windier and dries out just a little bit.
All right, gotcha. A couple other things that you need to know about if you're doing anything near the water today. There is a high surf advisory in effect through Wednesday along the north-facing reefs and a high risk of rip currents through Thursday night along north-facing reefs as well. So generally, if you're up north of the Micronesia Mall, stay out the water. 6:14, that's news and weather together, brought to you by Bank Pacific, where others put branches. They place roots.
Cheers to 80 years. It's our 80th anniversary and the gifts are on us. 80 gift certificates, 8 shopping sprees, 8 staycations, and 1 round-trip flyaway for 2 to Manila. So how do you enter? Calvo's Insurance personal home and auto customers are automatically entered. Non-Calvo's customers may enter by receiving a qualified quote. It's our way of saying thank you for trusting us for the past 80 years. For more details, visit calvos.com/giveaway or call 472-6816. Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years.
Studio time 6:14, and it's time to start thinking about breakfast. You know, they've been making it for you for about ever at King's, and you can swing by King's into Mooney or Harmon, and they'll be happy to put together another plate for you. They're like that. Ray Gibson Show also brought to you by American President Lines. They're shipping the future. Micronesia Renewable Energy. You know, there's never been a better time to go solar, and the guys over at GRMC, Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your specialty care needs.
Do you know someone who has difficulty following conversation in noisy places or turns up the TV a little too loud? These may be signs of a hearing loss. Ross Hearing Aids specializes in hearing evaluations, custom-fit hearing aids using the latest in wireless digital technology, and custom-fit hearing protectors. Call Ross Hearing Aids today to schedule a complimentary hearing consultation. 637-HEAR, 637-HEAR. Ross Hearing Aids, located across Shirley's in Harmon.
Are you paying a lot of money in insurance? You know, cost of everything is going up. You got to figure out how to shave some costs. And you might want to call the folks over at Nanbo's Insurance and ask them about their bundle up plan. You could save up to 50% on what you're paying right now. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? Great way to start the morning is ways that you can save money in 2019. 477-9754. Call them today.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Everybody should have a plan, right? Everybody should have a... So, Michael Knight has a plan on how he's going to save money in 2019. Would you like to share that with everybody, Mike?
I've basically cut everything fun out of my life. I've stopped smoking. I turned off my internet. What else is coming? I might live on the street. That could save some money.
Just live at the radio station. Just hang out here. Kevin Kerrigan, do you have a plan for 2019, how you're going to save money?
Same plan as last year. Don't spend it.
Don't spend it. Just bring it. So are you one of those guys? Are you one of those fellas like? Because I don't know you to be rather spendy. You know, I mean, is it possible like one of these days you're going to die and then they're going to?
Well, I think I'll retire first.
Well, yeah, but they're going to like find you and open up a mattress and there'll be like 20 million Howard Hughes dollars in there.
Bed. That's it.
Amazing. Yeah. So all of my savings are in the credit cards these days, but. So my savings plans for 2019 is to just be so incredible at this that people cannot resist buying me lunch and dinner and drinks all the time. I'd walk in someplace and they go, "Hey Ray, heard you on the radio this morning. You are like super interesting. Let me buy you a cheeseburger and a beer." Right? Can that be a plan?
It could be for you. For me, it doesn't work that way because I walk into a place and they say, "Hey, man, you made Ray sound great this morning. Where's he at? I want to buy him a beer."
I love the way this stuff works. Welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. It is the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point. My name is Ray, and as you can tell, I got a couple of jolly fellas here this morning. You know why they're jolly? Because today we're using the theme. Today the theme is 330 days until Christmas. Are you starting to feel it? Are you getting that Christmas spirit? Do you feel that Chevy Chase at the end of Scrooged feeling right now? Because it's near 330 days. Oh! Sorry, Santa. Sorry about that. I know Kevin's feeling all frosty, thinking about the holidays. Already. Sorry, it's just the way my brain bends. You know that by now, right? Ray Gibson Show. Anyway, so we got Michael Knight gets the phone when you call it 888-8255. That's 888-TALK. Kevin Kerrigan, that's the amazing Kevin Kerrigan for the Guam Daily Post. Will get the phone when you. No, he won't get the phone. He'll take care of all of the news and all the big headlines that we're going to be yakking about today. And as usual, there are items lined up on the table of contents. And now it seems to me everybody is falling all over themselves to say, no, we're cheaper than Calvo Tenorio. Calvo Tenorio, they were expensive. In terms of running the government, it was so expensive in the Calvo Tenorio administration. Whew, can't believe it. We're cheaper, don't you know?
and I'll go over some of the numbers because I like looking at the numbers. Les Carlson somewhere listening right now going, oh, God, here we go again. But the guys over at the legislature doing it too. Guys over at the legislature, Nestle Canto, and the story. The 35th Guam legislature is projecting to spend a little over $6 million in salaries and benefits for the current year. That's a $431,618 decrease compared to what the 34th Guam legislature spent last year. According to an annualized list of salaries and benefits, the legislature expects to spend $6,041,711 this year compared to $6,473,329 spent by the previous legislature, listed in its final report of an annual pay and benefits. And you do the mathematics on this, and it kind of makes it sound like it's just big number here. We're so much cheaper a legislature than the 34th. Those dirty 34th legislature people were so much cheaper than them. And I'm looking at the numbers, like 0.3%. You know, it's potato, tomato. Or tomato, potato.
Well, it's actually a pretty significant amount of money. So here's what they need to do now. They need to take and go buy trash cans and put them in all the public parks and say, brought to you by the
35th Guam legislature, because we're cheaper and sweeter smelling than the 34th Guam legislature. Just any number of things. It ain't a significant amount. It feels like a rounding error in my head. You make the difference between the total of the two numbers. Wow. All right, 6:21 in the morning, and like I said, we'll go through some of the numbers on the administrative side and all of that. I got a feeling that it doesn't matter how you slice it up. The government's going to end up costing. It will just, you know, it's like the cost of living on everything else. The cost of government is going to be going up. And yeah. Where does that come from? Where does that come from? Because the government of Guam, as you know, prints their own money. Oh, wait a second. They don't. They actually get some of that from fees and taxpayers and things like that. So it's actually our money that's getting spent. So I'll keep try to keep track of all of this and make our way through the program. Now I got to do a shout out first of all to Esther Agagi. That's the incoming Adjutant General of the Guam National Guard. Congratulations. I'm getting notes from all over the place. I got a WhatsApp a few minutes ago from your cousin Lillian Cruz, who wanted me to. The first thing that I do this morning, she said, the first thing you do this morning is say congratulations to my cousin Esther Agagi over at the Guard, and I want to say congratulations as well. I was absolutely delighted to see that come across the email yesterday, and admired your work over in the Guard for a long time, and can hardly wait to see some of the things that you are going to be up to, and how you will continue the transitions that have been made by other tags, Benny and General Benny and General Rod and Goldie. I call him. I still call him Goldie, and it freaks people out in the Guard because they're like, can't call him.
That's because he's never made you do push-ups.
It's General Goldhorn. You don't call him Goldie. And I'm like, I don't work for him. I'm sorry. I always start with, hey, General, how you doing? But then the rest of the time it's Goldie, and I saw him over the weekend at the Kick to Fat. Nice to hang out with him and Mrs. 6:23 in the morning, and nice to hang out with this bunch of guys.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
There is Ismail. I ran into Ismail's wife yesterday, and I said, what is it that he does that he's always the first one online? Doesn't matter when I start the feed to Facebook Live, he's always the first one there. And she said he doesn't sleep. He wakes up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and just sits there motionless on the couch with the laptop waiting for the show to start. That's a good life you got there, buddy. And good wife. Juanita Machi waving at the program here this morning. Johnson Nicholas, good Tuesday morning to you too as well, bud. Linda Gabriel is writing in. I see Nick Perlosky, and happy Tuesday. Apostle Affligui, Joey St. Nicholas is online. Lillian Cruz, and that's the same Lillian that's asking me to remember Esther Agagi today. John Ray Titano with a buenas, nice greeting. Rico Blancaflor, good morning, buddy. Albert Eliason, is today a good day for mowing of the yard? That's one of the things that he likes to do is get out there and do some mowing. I told you last week, Thursday, because I didn't want to have to worry about doing it on the weekend. I mowed the yard, got it looking really, really nice, and it's already starting to blossom. I've already got these little tiny weedlets that are coming up from it, which is in another week or so. And I think it's because of all this rain that we've been getting. It probably means that I'm probably going to have to be doing the yard haircut a little bit more often. Nate Horn. Wishing everybody the goodest of mornings to all. Greg Massey, nice to see you. Mary Park with a K. Randy Kruger. Cheryl Ochai, nice to see you there. Lee Stolley. Rain, go away. When did you say that was going to be drying off? A couple of days? When once we get past this last of the shears?
Yeah, it looks like that this bit of energy with us is going to hang around today and should be clearing out after tonight, and tomorrow things should be looking better.
All right. Well, there you go. Melissa Salas Akimoto. On the other hand, I have to say, it's nice that you get some of these longer, overcast, rainy kind of days because it keeps the house cool. You don't have to run the air conditioning quite as much, or in some cases, not at all. Melissa Salas Akimoto is there. I see Mark Cruz waving in, Ron and Cindy De La Rosa, and Doris Mendiola, Chris from Big Abetta online, and a wish there from Lillian, Carlos Barreto. Mo Cotton says, hi from Mo. He's here. We may begin the show. Rot Rose Greeno, Heather Perez, Mark Mendiola. Good to see Flo Cruz. Tony and Danette Unpinko Ada, Anne-Marie Munya. Hey, from AM Insurance. And there's Anita Muffness with the Valentine's Eyes. Just a couple more before I get started. Adonis Mendiola, Daryl Taggarty. Hope whatever it is that prevented you from starting the show on time doesn't prevent you from doing it again today. And Cody James. Daryl Taggarty says, God bless us. God bless us one and all. Lynn Vince, Borja Polino, Matt Cruz, Alicia Canata. My God, everybody's on this. This could take me the rest of the morning. Adonis Mendiola, government brought to you by the middle, working, and small businesses of Guam. Pedro Guerrero, Pat and Norma, Jean Cruz. Good morning, all, and thanks for starting your day the Ray Gibson way here on 93.3 The Point. All right, items in the table of content. Some interesting bills that are floating around over at the legislature, and we are now up to 31 of the bills that have been introduced, 31-35, an act to add a new chapter, yada, 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 relative to establishing a permanent one-stop business license and permit center operated by the Department of Revenue and Taxation. We've had something like this in the past. We got there's kind of a one-stop over by DPW now, and years ago, right across from the Pico Cemetery. There used to be a one-stop there, and that was the brainchild of former Governor Carl T.C. Gutierrez, it seems to me, and it was great. It was awesome, because prior to that, you literally, or as my friends would say, literally, because they drink lots of wine, literally, you literally had to jump through all kinds of hoops, go to all these different departments and agencies and headquarters that we had sprinkled all over the island, and something like a business license, or I'm trying to remember, there were a couple of real estate things that I needed to do once upon a time, and I remember that being an absolute nightmare. And they said, well, why don't we let's put everybody in one place, including a treasurer of Guam. Which meant that you ought to be able to go in and get yourself stamped and signed and notaried and approved by all these different guys. And they had all the maps, and they had the fire guys were there. So it was actually pretty cool to get everything done all in one place. Now, there's still a little bit of jumping around. We don't quite have the same thing that we did before in terms of the interface with the government of Guam. But an idea that goes back, a couple of decades. It's funny, everything old is new again, right? But you go back a couple of decades and remember how well that was working for a while, and you just kind of wonder why did that go away? It was actually kind of cool for another reason. It's everything being, as personal as we are with each other around here. If you could go to One Stop, and while you're waiting to go and see this guy, you would get to sit down and wait with somebody that was waiting to go see the other guy. And it was figuratively, it was just like being at the Bank of Guam on Payday Friday. It felt like a fiesta in there pretty much all the time, because you could walk in and it might have taken a little while to see some guys versus the other guys, but you know what? It was cool because you could get into a 10 or 15-minute conversation with somebody who was also in line waiting for it. And I remember running in there and Johnny Sablon had a stack of papers, and his stack was as big as the stack of papers that I had. And we had just a great time getting together. So it's not always that bad dealing with the government. You can do that in a one-stop, but I think it's easier to do it in a one-stop than it is to do it in the traditional lines over at the Department of Revenue and Taxation. Seems to be more going on at Rev and Tax these days, at least if you follow what's going on with the bingos. And I've been trying to over the last couple. I'm not a bingo guy. I'm gonna be a bingo guy. Because I told you about my friend on Friday night. We were all hanging out over at the Jimmy D's for that fundy for the Coast Guard, and I was looking forward to spending some time. And I said, "What you want to drink?" And she said, "No, I'm going to bingo." Why are you going to bingo? She said, well, because they have a couple of places that are open now. Okay, but what's the big attraction? She told me about a friend of hers that made like $45,000 in the last few months. Hey, there's a reason to get into bingo. And then you hear about it, and then you realize that most of the bingo places are shut down, but not. And I love this. This is an actual headline in the Guam Daily Post today. It's an actual headline. It says half-a-day bingo to reopen today at the old Greyhound. And sure enough, they've got an ad that I clipped out today. The half-a-day bingo is open. Tuesday session starts. Doors open at 4. Session starts at 7. What do you do there for 3 hours? What goes on for the 3 hours between the door opening and that first session at 7?
It's their inaugural wine tasting.
Well, I don't know if they literally have any wine things going on there for the first 3 hours. I'd be down for it if they did. So the half-a-day bonanza is $3,000, and the early bird is $500, and halftime is $500. Junior blackout, $5,000, 46 numbers or less. Indian Star, $5,000 in 27 numbers or left. And they got a whole bunch of different packages that you might be able to buy and line yourself up for. Hey, these are some decent payouts. There are bigger, but how many of them are with bingo parlors that are actually online right now? 6:31 in the morning. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about another conversation with gaming and giving the opportunity for the mayors to establish the rules and regulations relative to games of chance at fairs. That's on the way here in the program. Right now, it's time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck were among the local businessmen and personalities whose names were entered on some of the ballots cast in the November election. The Guam Election Commission has completed the first phase of tabulating all of the write-in names and released the results yesterday. Far and away, the most write-in votes were cast for gubernatorial candidate and former Senator Frank Uggan Jr. and his running mate, former U.S. Attorney Alicia Limtiaco. Former Governors Carl Gutierrez and Eddie Calvo also got some votes, as did talk show hosts Ray Gibson and Bob Klitsky of The Point. GEC Executive Director Maria Pangilinan said the tabulations of the write-ins is required, but it did not affect the results of any of the races. In district court yesterday, 38-year-old Robert Curtis Lujan Saturnino pleaded guilty to conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine. According to the plea agreement, Saturnino took part in a conspiracy to distribute meth on island from August through October of 2014. He admitted to shipping packages of meth in the mail from California to a mailing address in Jigo. Saturnino agreed to cooperate with the government in ongoing investigations. He was released pending sentencing. Lieutenant Colonel Esther Agagi has been nominated to be the new Adjutant General of the Guam National Guard. She was sworn in by the governor at Adelup yesterday. Her nomination will be formally submitted to the legislature for confirmation. We have the utmost trust and confidence that she is the best soldier to lead the Guam National Guard, said the governor. In June, Agagi was the first woman in the Guam Army National Guard to graduate from the U.S. Army War College. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
I think so. 6:33 in the morning. Portions of the program. In fact, this one brought to you by iConnect and iConnect time again 6:33. Swing by there or find them on the web at iConnectGuam.com and ask them about some great plans for 2019. Push to talk mobile internet plans. That's how you save money.
Security Title is honored to sponsor Ray Gibson on The Point. In 2019, we resolved to continue our mission of protecting and ensuring the land and homes of our beautiful island. Additionally, we resolved to maintain our vital connection to our families and our community. Protehi Itanomo, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Oh, this is. I love telling you this story. Once upon a time, boys and girls, you couldn't get spaghetti on the go. You had to slave over the hot stove all day. You're making the zesty Italian sauce, and then you got to season and grill up that meat, and then you got to boil. Oh, it was so hot in the kitchen because we had to boil water. Now you know what you can do if you want spaghetti? Drive to the nearest Wendy's. That is the next. This is the new hotness, ladies and gentlemen. You swing by Wendy's, and for $3.49, you get the snack size version of a cup of spaghetti. Want more? You want the meal size version? That's only going to set you about $6.49. It's true. It's happening. This is the best part of living in this future, is that we've got spaghetti at Wendy's.
At the heart of everything we do is our mission to improve the life of every child. From mungy nennies to growing teens, they'll be in trusted hands at FHP Health Center, where we offer comprehensive pediatric services to nurture and protect your child's health from day one. Begin your little one's journey to good health at FHP with seasoned pediatricians and professional staff who hold decades of combined experience. FHP Health Center, our island, your clinic.
No, it's true. It's true. You think about it, it's 2019, and you think about all the stuff that we were promised when we were kids. You remember they were promised us that we'd be living in underwater cities. Right, and we'd like scuba from one place to the other, like school and work and stuff like that. They also promised us that we'd have like colonies on the moon and flying cars by now. What have we got? We got nothing, but we do have spaghetti at Wendy's, right? It's the next best thing. 888-825-5888-TALK. Traffic music playing off in the background. And you know what I forgot to look at this morning, because it doesn't really affect me. I don't stop for that light anyway. Did they repair the lights over by DPW? They did. Oh, that's amazing. Yesterday afternoon, when my big sister Shelley was dropping some stuff off here at the office, we're in the middle of a conversation. All of a sudden, crash, boom, bang, and there was a truck hauling an excavator northbound Marine Corps Drive, and it took out all of the signal lights on Marine Corps Drive over here at DPW. How it managed to get under all of the rest of them except that one, I don't know. But that was the story yesterday as we were driving around here. And it made for a lousy commute for a lot of people in the early afternoon. But my guess is as soon as traffic died down a little bit last night, they all came in and took out the old and stuck in the new. And I wonder who's going to get stuck with the bill on that. All right, I'm looking at the traffic gizmo. There's nothing there. I got nothing. I got a little bit of traffic building just a hair up towards Anderson Air Force Base, and a little bit of traffic not even there. A little bit of traffic coming into downtown again, because I'm talking about spaghetti at Wendy's. So I think there might be a line there right now. But other than that, everything's going to be all right. Wet road conditions because it rained a lot last night, so you might want to sneak onto the roadways a little bit early. It's 6:37. That's Right Now traffic here on The Point.
Every time I travel, there's something from home that I can't leave without. I take my Docomo Pacific Data to Go to share my stories in Taiwan, check subway routes in Tokyo, be my food guide in Hong Kong, meet new friends in the Philippines, make updates in the States, find my way around Korea, and check out all the cool shows in Singapore. It's the data I have in all the places I love for only $10 a day. Data to Go from Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Real Talk Radio is back. Welcome to The Point, Guam's FM News Talk Superstation.
No, Ray Gibson and Bob Klitsky got write-in votes. Is that really what happened? It finally gotten around to doing some of the hand recounts that are required of them. when it comes time to do the counts of write-ins for the last gubernatorial race that we all had. And there's a couple of stories, including the one that Kevin Kerrigan was reading a second ago. 3,800 that we know of for the Frank and Alicia team in that variation of it, right? There, because it seems to me that there's another. There was you could write in Frank Uggan and Alicia Limtiaco, or you could write in Frank and Alicia, and apparently there's a whole bunch of those that they still kind of have to tabulate when it comes to coming out with the last number. But it kind of sounded like they were having a hard time gauging the intent of the voter, which was a big problem in the conversation. You'll recall that there were a lot of people that were very, very worried about the numbers, the kind of variations that the election commission would accept for Frank Uggan and Alicia Limtiaco as they move through this write-in campaign. It still seems to be that it is not as fluid, I suppose, as we'd like it to be. One way or the other, it should be a little bit easier to be able to get somebody to write in the name of a candidate, whether it's Ray Gibson or Frank Uggan or Alicia Limtiaco or Bob Klitsky, and be able to determine the intent of that voter. So we'll see if we can get Maria on the line and find out. Actually, I want to find out exactly how many I got, because there's all these people all the time. They're talking about, hey, Ray, you should run for office. You should run for office. And maybe that's the litmus test. Maybe that's the way it ought to be for me. It's just if I got more than X, then maybe I'll entertain the idea. But I will give you the warning there. Here is the caveat on the idea that Ray Gibson might actually decide to run for some kind of political office one of these days. Is I want you to know that my role will largely be use plastic devices. And I'll say, I love the turtles, but no, we have other problems that we have to solve. We don't need to run through all of this feel-good stuff here, right? And I don't know. I'm looking at there's 3 new bills that have been submitted, and I would start, even though it's from my buddy Jimmy, right? I would start with no and kind of find my way to a yes on something like this. Rules and regulation related to games of chance at the fairs. And here's one. This one here is going to start a fight. I'll tell you, I'm looking at it right now. This bill is going to start a fight. We've already seen something like this go down when they tried to. You remember the last time they tried to put together that contract, the bids for health insurance companies to deal with government of Guam employees, and they made it part of that process over at the Department of Administration that if you wanted to do business with the government of Guam, you had to include Guam Regional Medical City. And the guys over at Take Care said, you can't make us do that. And that one went into all of the different proceedings. Senator Tina Rose Munya Barnes now has a piece of legislation that says all companies or other legal entities providing or applying to provide health insurance or the provision of health care to the government of Guam shall have contracts for services with all private hospitals operating in Guam that are providing health care services to any and all of their subscribers. So this could force the hand. I doubt it. My guess is that the guys over at Take Care and FHP have already got their lawyers going through this right now. Let's take out that legal fine-tooth comb and see what the defense of this is going to be. But like I said, just that, I think, is going to start a little bit of that fight conversation. 888-255-888-TALK. Simon Sanchez, good morning, buddy.
Good morning, Ray.
Happy New Year to you, bud.
Happy to you, too. I'm on the last 5 minutes on this pre-court machine.
A what?
But since I'm talking a pre-court machine, it's like step climbing and but your arms are moving. First time I've tried it.
First time you tried it, and you got the phone.
And I have 5 minutes left.
Do you want me to call you? You want me to call you back in 5 minutes? Because do you have medics around you? Is there a paramedic nearby? I don't want to, ask you questions about the underground power system in Tumon that's going to be going in there, and have you have a heart attack at the same time.
Well, the machine just said no heart rate detected. But I think I can do it. If you want to talk about underground, let's do it.
Yeah, well, all right. Well, let's punch through this here. Consolidated Commission on Utilities has approved now the idea that we're going to move forward with undergrounding of the power system in Tumon.
Well, we're undergrounding the rest of the power system in Tumon. If you recall, Governor Carl Gutierrez and his team borrowed money for the Tourist Attraction Fund to redo Salvatores 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we put in transmission lines underground. But the lines that go from the transmission lines to certain customers, not all, some hotels, many apartment buildings, those weren't put underground. And we're now going to do phase 2 of putting the rest of Tumon underground. The main line's been underground for 15 years.
Right.
Now these feeder lines will be underground. And that will make Tumon even more protected, able to run through storms. And that way we can get to the southern villages, the extended villages faster.
Right. So less time to restore power to that area, and it is an area where generally the cash register rings for Guam. So we want to make sure that those guys are back up and lit up as quickly as possible. I personally, as somebody that generally is unprepared sometimes in storms, it's always nice to know that if I really needed it, I could go stay in that hotel, get a hot shower, and get a hot meal and a cold beer at the same time because their electricity is on.
Well, then our hope is the hotels and all the apartments and condos in the area will keep the power on during a storm. You know, obviously we would prefer to keep as much power on during a storm as possible. Mm-hmm. This will help us do that. That allows us to get to the places without power faster because we're not stuck in Tumon, the hospital, the water wells, all of those. So this is all part of the madness of the CCU to gradually underground Guam.
Now, where's the money coming from for this?
I think it's bond proceeds. So we already have the money.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to keep coming up with questions because I kind of like the cadence of your breathing and your answering here. So there's money available for this, obviously, and so this is going to start. At which point? And now I know that there's got to be some kind of a master plan. So after we're done with undergrounding the rest of the system, when will we start seeing more and more, especially some of the big main lines going underground?
So 60% of our load is actually already underground. Main circuits, hospital, civil defense, much of Tumon. The military underground themselves. They put lines underground to connect to us. So this is, the overall undergrounding will take time and money.
Mm-hmm.
But this is trying to get the most places underground, the most bang for the buck that we can with the money we have, starting with larger circuits first, working our way to smaller circuits. The idea is if the larger circuits stay on, the smaller circuits, if they go off, we can get to them faster.
Yeah, okay. I see what's happening here.
Your grandkids will see all of Guam underground.
Well, that's something to look forward to, Si. But as I said, we're in a day and age where Wendy's is making spaghetti. So I mean, we don't have colonies on the moon or underwater cities, but we do have spaghetti over at Wendy's. So I think that's as much of a payoff as we're going to get from the incredible future that you and I were promised when we were just little kids growing up. Hey, do you have any good news on the price of electricity? Is there any conversation about rolling that back? I mean, Hereki has been kind of a maverick over at PUC lately, so I'm kind of hoping that he comes back with the recommendations from GPA and CCU and says, no, we can make electricity cheaper.
Well, it's their call now. I know he's been talking to GPA regularly, daily, to get the latest prices since we sent it to him in December.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to make a call Thursday, but I haven't heard anything.
Nothing yet?
No, it's in the hands of the independent PUC.
I'm trying to count down for you here. So what do we got? 6:48 right now. We started the conversation at 6:44.
I got 13 seconds left. 311 calories, 2.3 miles.
Nice. It's like a Stairmaster thing that you're on, though, right?
Yeah, with the arm part.
Okay, so now where are you working out at?
I'm in LA for personal business.
Oh, you're in Los Angeles. Oh, nice. You know what? And let me just say how proud I am of Simon Sanchez. While he's traveling, he's actually working out. When I'm traveling, that's the last thing I think about doing. I bring everything, but unless I'm going for a running trip, usually hitting the gym at the hotel is the last thing on my mind here. Well, frankly, you've answered all my questions about what's going on. So I mean, there's a possibility that Fred Arecki and the guys over at the Public Utilities Commission might take an interesting view on what's happening with fuels. They've been watching it like everybody else. Although I will point out that Trilby Lundberg and the folks yesterday were talking about an increase in the price of gasoline, and oil has been steadily moving up over the last couple of weeks. So if anything, our time to act has probably passed.
Well, we predicted it would go up. That's why we didn't drop it.
Yeah.
Right? But even if it's going to go up, we think holding it firm will allow us to recover much of the money we had advanced in prior periods. And the PUC's wrestling match is, on the one hand, they don't mind that we advance a little bit on behalf of the people. On the other hand, they agree with us that we can't advance 2, 3, 4 months. We basically advance about half a month. And so they've got to make that call. They'll make the best call they can. I mean, you're like the rest of us. You're predicting oil prices the next 6 months. It's as art as much of a science. And they'll make the best call. They have the latest data. We'll see what they say. Maybe they'll hold it steady. My hope is they don't raise it, because oil has risen up. We took that into account, but it's really up to them at this point. And they're good people. They've looked at this. They've been doing this for 25 years themselves. The board is well experienced. Mr. Harecki is well experienced. They'll make the call, and we visit it in 6 months anyway. It's not like it's perpetual.
Yeah, $53.69 yesterday, and that was up 50 cents from the day before. In trade today, 52.17. So you can see still a little bit of volatility in the price of oil, making it that much more difficult to make these predictions and determine whether or not we go up, we go down, or we stay the same.
And I'm seeing like $3.40 a gallon unleaded here in downtown LA. So what are we, still $3.90, something like that?
$3.89.9.
Yeah. So $3.90 in Guam, $3.40 in downtown LA. I'm sure it varies a little bit. So, we're always going to be a little more expensive than the mainland because of shipping and where we get it. But, LA's not paying $2.50 a gallon either.
I wonder why that is. Where are they getting their fuel from? Is it not indexed in Los Angeles to national average?
Well, like you said, it's
no. Mike's right. Mike's yelling, hollering through the glass. He says it's taxes. You were talking about Los Angeles, so I'm sure their liquid fuels tax is a significant portion of what you pay at the pump.
And the other thing we noticed, driving around LA, is the roads in Guam have their challenges. The roads in LA have their challenges. There's road construction going everywhere. There's roads that need to be redone. They reminded me of driving at home. So the road dilemma that we face in Guam is really a national dilemma. When it comes to roads and water and sewer infrastructure, our country is way behind what we should be spending to keep up with the demand. But of course, on the political and ratepayer side, they're going, hey, I can only afford so much. So the trade-off is, okay, like I know there's a debate to roll back the fuel tax, but that's being used to pave roads. There's a nice road in Sinajana. I saw a nice road by St. Paul's. So you see some of that money being spent, but if it's rolled back, then how do you keep fixing the roads unless you take it from an existing funding source? And we know all existing funding sources are pretty maxed out. So much like the utilities. I mean, if you had to fix things, we had to raise rates. We couldn't do it with a 30-year-old rate. I think that'll be interesting to see how the
with all the years and years of neglect and deferred maintenance here, we find ourselves replacing a whole lot more than just maintaining, and in the end run, that costs us more as taxpayers. Evergreen South Guam online asking what's going on with the water booster pump in Pigua Mauricio, the building no pump. What building no pump? What is that? I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means? Building no pump?
Yes. So we need to get a permanent building and generator in Moleso, and I'll get Miguel Berdallo, or if you can chat with Miguel or Heidi. That was presented to us in the November CCU meeting as to the timeline. And the places that need a temporary generator, the challenge is we also need a temporary building, or not a permanent building, because you put a generator down and just park it out there, people are going to take it.
Yeah.
So we need to build a building, we need to put the generator in, and we need to wire it. And there also may be issues about buying and acquiring land. But to be honest with you, if you wouldn't mind asking Miguel or Heidi or the GWA folks, they can give you the exact timeline. And they did brief the mayors. I'm not sure if the mayor, Melissa, was there. He may know from that briefing, but GWA knows it's on schedule. Same with Johnston Hill, Channel 10 Towers, out where Mrs. Johnson used to live,
Yep.
Johnston, or the Marion Taitano, they live up there. That's on the list. There's one in Agate. So those are shorter term projects that we can get to sooner. And that, we're trying to get to 100% availability of water during a typhoon. Those 3 or 4 sites are the remaining sites. They're the remaining 1%.
I recall there were issues there, and at least one of them was an issue where I believe there was a generator, but it ran out of fuel in the middle of the storm.
Well, we've had issues where there was a generator, and the next morning there wasn't a generator.
Oh, well, there's people around here with sticky fingers, unfortunately. 6:55, so I'm going to let you towel off, and we'll talk again soon. Enjoy the trip and hurry home.
Thank you, Ray. Have a great show. Have a good week. Thank you.
I already have a great show. It's already an hour in. 6:55 in the morning, and supposed to be. Is it today, Jack, that you're going before the commission on the Land Trust Commission?
Yes. Hi. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning, Jack Attig on the line with me. How you doing, bud?
Very well. Good morning to you all. Good morning, Guam.
Interesting round of stories here as we wait out the Chamorro Land Trust Commission on what it is that they're going to do with you. My understanding was that there were questions because, well, we didn't actually have any money set aside for an administrator here in this new budget. Have they found a reliable source of salary for you?
Yes, they have.
Do you know what the origin of that salary is?
It's my understanding that we had enough in the budget that was set aside for FY19, and we're using the money from that.
In order to now fund your position as the administrator of the Chamorro Land Trust Commission?
Correct.
All right. Now, is it your understanding that they will bless that nomination today as well, and bring you into the bosom of the family?
That is correct. That's my understanding.
Do you know where you're going to be working?
It's for now. It's going to be at together with the Department of Land Management offices at the ITC building. So we're going to carve out a little niche for me there, and we're going to work together with the acting director, Paul Santos, until the full-time director comes on board, and we'll take it from there.
Do you know exactly what your first tasks are going to be? I mean, once you've decided where you're going to be sitting and what plants and pictures go on your desk, do you know what the nature of the work is that you're going to be doing?
I've got three items that are currently on my list of things to do first within the first few months of being there. One of them is to take an assessment of the inventory, the complete inventory of our Chamorro Land Trust lands. As you know, other departments and agencies are asking for Chamorro Land Trust land to build public buildings. So it's good that I have a good grasp of exactly how much land we have. And then secondly, I'll be taking a look at all the leases. Of course, that's been a topic of discussion these past few
Well, just do what the Attorney General said to do. She already said that we have all of these leases that are void because they didn't go through the proper channels and receive the nod from the actual board.
Right, and my recommendation to the commission has always been to follow the law. So we've submitted those troubled leases to the legislature, and it's the legislature's job now to figure out what they would like to do, and we're going to wait for them to take the appropriate action.
I don't recall. Has that measure been reintroduced?
Not yet. I did have a conversation with the oversight chairperson on the Committee on Land, Senator Therese Terlahi. So they have not yet entertained any legislation or, to my knowledge, any kinds of discussions as to what they're going to do.
Yeah, because my recollection was it came in late in the 34th Guam legislature, and they weren't able to get any action on that. And frankly, I'm not sure that they wanted to get any action on it because it seems to be one of those things where nobody is going to be satisfied with the outcome. I think there would be a finite number of people that will be happy with it. The rest of us are going to be a little bit annoyed that it seems to be acknowledging and accepting years and years of doing it the wrong way.
I certainly acknowledge that that's the perception. But my job again is to make sure that we follow the law. And I was telling also.
But my point is, the law wasn't being followed. The rules and regulations at the time weren't necessarily being adhered to, and there doesn't seem to be any accountability.
Correct.
So it's we'd like to see some kind of fairness there and some kind of justice as a result. Jack, congratulations in advance. We'll talk after you become the administrator. All right, after they swear you in.
Thank you very much, Ray. I appreciate it.
Okay, Migo, good luck. 7 o'clock in the morning, the radio station is KUSG Hagutnya 93.3. The Point. Here is going to be Fox News, followed by Kevin Kerrigan with a look at all the big stories. Jerry Roberts live. Ooh, double shot of Jerry Roberts today, right? We get him on the radio and in the Guam Daily Post. More on that in seconds.
Ramping up the pressure. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The U.S. slapping sanctions on the elected president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, days after formally recognizing opposition leader Juan Guaido, who's claimed power.
The United States is holding accountable those responsible for Venezuela's tragic decline.
Treasury Chief Steve Mnuchin moments ago.
Today, Treasury took action against Venezuela's state-owned oil company, PDVSA, to help prevent the further diversion of Venezuela's assets by former President Maduro.
In effect, that means blocking $7 billion in assets. At the same briefing, National Security Advisor John Bolton not ruling out military action, only saying that all options are on the table. U.S. diplomats remain in Venezuela. A number of other countries have also recognized Guaido as the interim president, but Russia, Cuba, and China have not. Bolton is calling on all responsible nations, as he put it, to recognize Guaido. All of this happening at the White House press briefing, where spokeswoman Sarah Sanders is likely to also get questions about the upcoming negotiations set for later this week on avoiding another possible government shutdown. A 19-year-old from El Salvador now facing multiple counts of murder in Nevada, where 4 people were killed in their homes.
We are now officially moving forward in our prosecution of Wilber Ernesto Martinez Guzman.
Washoe County DA Chris Hicks just announcing the upgraded charges. Martinez Guzman was arrested last week and initially charged with weapons possession and selling jewelry belonging to several victims. Officials have said he's in the U.S. illegally. The week starts with a sell-off on Wall Street. The Dow down 209 points at the closing bell. At one point during the session, though, was down about 400. This is Fox News.
Picture KFC's world-famous extra crispy chicken. Now, imagine it glistening in hot honey sauce. Just think about the crispy, sweet heat. Now, it's in your sights. Reach for it. Almost there. Oops, this is a KFC radio commercial. But you can make your picture a reality by getting a Hot Honey Tenders basket.
Also available in Hot Honey Chicken Family Meals. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Are you a veteran or on active duty looking for a home loan and VA eligible? Then Bank Pacific stores are open to you, where we are a VA approved preferred lender. That simply means we can give you faster credit approvals and loan closing. And with today's super low rates, you just can't go wrong. Bank Pacific's My VA Loan, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, credit conditions apply. Viva Bank Pacific.
A new nonpartisan report finds the U.S. economy did take a hit from the shutdown.
The 35-day partial government shutdown cost the U.S. economy $3 billion it won't recover. That's according to new estimates from the Congressional Budget Office. The CBO report says economic growth in the last quarter of 2018 was down 0.1%. It's expected to be down 0.2% the first quarter of this year. Furloughed federal workers not contributing as much to economic activity and a delay in federal spending on goods and services are the main reasons of dampened economic growth, the CBO says.
Fox's Jared Halpern on Capitol Hill. An extradition hearing set for a Louisiana shooting suspect accused of killing 5 people Friday before being captured in Virginia.
21-year-old Dakota Thoreau is in Richmond County Court without an attorney, according to sheriff's officials, before he's transferred back to Louisiana. In the killings of his parents, his girlfriend, her father, and brother. in separate shootings Friday near Baton Rouge before fleeing to Virginia, where he was arrested outside his grandmother's house.
There's a lot of family members out there that are hurting right now, and our prayers go out to those family members.
Ascension Parish Sheriff Bobby Weber as investigators weigh charges and piece together motive. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Bundle up doesn't quite cover it in parts of the upper Midwest where wind chills could plummet to 60 below zero by Wednesday. And that means a storm dumping more than a foot of snow in parts of Wisconsin and Minnesota could also turn from rain to snow or ice in parts of the South.
We have a lot of people that are going to be in town this week. We want to keep them safe.
That's Georgia Governor Brian Kemp days before Atlanta hosts the Super Bowl, saying they're preparing for the worst, hoping for the best. Again, recapping Wall Street, a sell-off mainly over global economic growth concerns. The Dow down 209 at the bell. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Save big. Save really big when you bundle up your insurance policies with Nanbo Insurance. Insure your home, auto, motorcycle, or business with Nanbo and enjoy great savings, up to 50%. When it comes to insuring your property, no one knows better than the company with over 50 years of service to the community. Don't compromise the things that matter to you most. Call Nanbo today at 477-9754 or visit nanbo.com for more information. Nanbo Insurance, serving you since 1968. Introducing Exchanged, Guam's first online and mobile remittance to the Philippines. Exchanged is the easiest and fastest way to send money to your family and friends anywhere in the Philippines. Download the Exchanged app or visit their website, exchange.me. Sign up, remit, and get a chance to win a trip for two to Manila. Deluxe accommodations at the Belmont Hotel at Resorts World Manila. So sign up and remit now at Exchanged. Promo ends March 2nd, 2019. Conditions apply. Also avail of Exchange dollar to remit promo. Visit exchange.me for details.
Every time I travel, there's something from home that I can't leave without. I take my Docomo Pacific Data to Go to share my stories in Taiwan, check subway routes in Tokyo, be my food guide in Hong Kong, meet new friends in the Philippines, make updates in the States, find my way around Korea, and check out all the cool shows in Singapore. It's the data I have in all the places I love for only $10 a day. Data to Go from Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 7 a.m. this Tuesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. U.S. Attorney Fred Black is accusing defendants Raymond Martinez and Juanita Mosier of jury tampering. Martinez and Mosier have twice gone to trial in district court on allegations of trying to smuggle 8 pounds of meth into Guam from California. Both trials have ended in hung juries. The federal government has now refiled the case in California, but it can't proceed there until all the motions here on Guam have been resolved. Defense attorneys are asking for the case to be dismissed. Black responding yesterday by raising the jury tampering allegations during a hearing before Chief Judge Francis Tadenko Gatewood. Black called FBI Special Agent Joshua Kiff to the stand to testify about recordings of phone calls made between Mosier and former Guam police officer John Mantanonia, in which the two appeared to be talking about getting people to show up in force to support the defendants in front of the jury. In another recording, payoffs were discussed. Worse than meth distribution, said Black, is the defendants turning justice on its head. No decision reached on the motions yesterday. The hearing continues today. The mobile X-ray cargo screening system at the island's seaport is broken. The maintenance contract to repair it has expired. As a result, there's a reduced number of containerized inspections that customs officers can conduct. That, according to Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency PIO Officer Jesse Santos Torres. The mobile X-ray cargo screening system has been operated by Customs to scan incoming cargo containers for contraband. Santos Torres said customs officers are now using a risk management approach to determine which containers require further inspection. A new 3-year service contract to cover repairs for the screening system would cost $216,000. It's about $72,000 annually. The cargo screening system was purchased by the Port Authority of Guam in February of 2015 for $759,000. The funding came from federal grants awarded to the port by the Department of Homeland Security and the Federal Emergency Management Agency. We'll have more news after this.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for our all-new Ultimate Cheesy Garlic Bread. How would you like it?
I'll take a skeptical grandma.
Set in her ways?
A smidge.
Grandma, try this Ultimate Meatball Marinara made with Ultimate Cheesy Garlic Bread. Melted mozzarella, Parmesan, garlic butter spread. It's just like yours.
Like mine? My grandmother's recipe?
Try it.
You know, my grandmother's cheesy garlic bread was never all that.
Subway, make it what you want. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
Yo, Jay, you sure you want to be washing your car right now, man? Not now, Kev. I'm washing Betsy. And she has to be spotless, bro. Clouds are coming in fast. It looks fine to me. Look again. It looks fine, Kevin. It looks fine.
You know what makes more sense than Guam's weather? Using your Bank of Guam credit card at any Shell station to save 6% on gas purchases. Call, click, or visit for more details. Make more sense. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
Terms and conditions apply.
10 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. Games of chance at the Liberation Carnival and other fairs on the island may be allowed again if Bill 29 gets signed into law. The measure was introduced by Senator James Moylan and Jose Terlahi and Joe San Augustine. The bill would authorize the Mayor's Council of Guam to determine whether limited games of chance should once again be authorized and establish rules and regulations for such games. The bill does not specifically authorize gambling, and it does not say what types of games of chance would be permitted. That's left up to the Mayor's Council. The current ban on games of chance was introduced in the last legislature by Senator Talina Nelson, and it is now Public Law 34-15. The result of that law has been a loss of gaming revenue for the Mayor's Council. In reaction to this new bill allowing the mayors to revive gaming again, Senator Nelson issued a release yesterday saying, "The people of Guam have voted against gambling on at least 5 occasions, and although the mayors may need some more income, gambling is not the solution," she said. Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck were among the local businessmen and personalities whose names were entered on some of the ballots cast in the November election. The Guam Election Commission has completed the first phase of tabulating all of the write-in names and released the results yesterday. Far and away, the most write-in votes were cast for gubernatorial candidate and former Senator Frank Uggan Jr. and his running mate, former U.S. Attorney Alicia Limtiaco. Former Governors Carl Gutierrez and Eddie Calvo also got some votes in the write-in ballots, as did talk show hosts Ray Gibson and Bob Klitsky of The Point. GEC Executive Director Maria Pangilinan said the tabulations of the write-ins is required, but it did not affect the results of any of the races. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with some weather.
All right, thanks very much. Cloudy and breezy, scattered showers, northeast winds up to about 25 miles an hour, decreasing after sunset. Highs near 85 degrees and overnight lows of about 76 degrees. What time sunset tonight? 6:19. Will sunrise tomorrow morning at 6:48. Cousin Tommy Barcinas wants a change on that and has petitioned the office of Governor Lou Leon Guerrero to have the sunrises coming a little bit earlier this morning, because it's just ridiculous that it's almost 7 o'clock and the sun's not out yet.
Actually, it's out of Lou's hand. I control that. So, and I will change that starting on Saturday.
Wonderful.
So
That is terrific news. I'm glad to hear that. So, I'm looking. Did you send me a new image on
I
the
really
radar?
did, not on radar. It's about the same. We're actually in a bit of a break now on the backside of that little ripples of energy that have been moving through all night long and even into now. And so things have cleared up a little bit out there, but we'll see some more ripples coming in as the afternoon progresses and the sun starts to heat up some of that moisture.
Why does it look like it's moving so fast on this image? I mean, are they really moving in that?
Oh, absolutely.
At that
No,
speed?
because up at about 5,000 feet, your winds are about 20 to 35 miles per hour up there. And that's what's guiding these showers as they blow on through.
Because it looks like 2 times speed or something like that.
No, but they're just cruising through like that. And again, you just imagine a pond, a still pond with a breeze blowing across it, and you get these little ripples, and it's exactly the same thing. Just it's on a much larger scale.
You got such a pretty mouth.
Yeah.
You're talking about weather. All right, let me put this up. And this is not a new image. It's the one that I pulled down at 6, so it should still be fairly current.
Yeah, and it is. And, of course, we can see what's giving the energy for these little ripples of energy is this high pressure far to the north. Really cold air up there, say, north of the 20-degree latitude line. That cold air is not going to get this far south, but we are going to get some nice reinforcing dry breezes over the second half of the week. Today, probably not so much, but winds will start to pick up as soon as this rain starts to clear out, because that's a sign of high pressure building in and starting to really establish itself over us. And so that should start tomorrow and then right on through the rest of the weekend. Some of the forecasts are showing winds of 25 gusting up to 30-ish by Thursday and Friday. So we'll see how that goes. 30-ish, yeah. Yeah, pretty intense.
Can we make it so that it's always behind me? Is that possible? So I can get that 30-mile-an-hour push?
As long as you're turning with your, with your back to the wind.
7:14 in the morning. I'll work on that. 888-8255-888-TALK. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
Are you not getting paid what you're worth? Or not reaching your full potential at your job? If you're pioneering, adventurous, competitive, love talking to people, and want to earn $100,000 per year, sell cars on U.S. military bases with Military Auto Source. Start on Guam, stay on Guam, or move to Japan or Korea. To see if you qualify, visit maseastasiarecruiting.com. Military Auto Source, helping you reach your full potential.
It's 7:15 in the morning, and just a quick look at what's happening on the roadways. Don't need to pop the music up, but just want to let you know southbound Marine Corps Drive up in Chico starting to busy up. We're watching things around the schools on Route 3 start to busy up as well. Expect some delays northbound on Route 16 as you get to the intersection where the Jolly Bee is going to be, and then north and south. It should be fairly clear until you get into just before you get to Santos Hill. It'll thick up and then slow down again, but will pick up in speed after you pass the St. John's intersection through there. 8, 10, and 16 fairly clear right now. Inbound traffic on Route 15 towards the intersection of 15 and 10. A little bit busy this morning, and we're looking at traffic on Route 4 as you're making your way towards Jotnia right now. For some reason, looks like it's a little bit heavy. Nothing down in Big Navy and Sumai, nothing in front of Navy Hospital. Should be all right for now. If you can get on the road now, that would be awesome, because I think if you wait another 10 or 15 minutes, it's going to start being actual redness out there. 7:16, that's new. No, that's I'm supposed to tell you about Kings, right? And a bunch of the other guys. Sorry about that. Swing by the nearest Kings and enjoy breakfast. There you go. They got one in Harmon. They've got one in Tamuning. You can also find portions of the program brought to you by Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your specialty care needs. The guys over at American President Lines are shipping the future, and Micronesia Renewable Energy, where they say there's never been a better time to go solar.
Do you know someone who has difficulty following conversation in noisy places or turns up the TV a little too loud? These may be signs of a hearing loss. Ross Hearing Aids specializes in hearing evaluations, custom-fit hearing aids using the latest in wireless digital technology, and custom-fit hearing protectors. Call Ross Hearing Aids today to schedule a complimentary hearing consultation. 637-HEAR, 637-HEAR. Ross Hearing Aids, located across Shirley's in Harmon.
It's 7:17, and you're going to get hungry later on. I want you to try something new they've got over at Subway. Yesterday, I told you this time about the incredible it's garlic bread that they're selling there, because you can get a sandwich now with garlic bread. You know, you get some of the meatball marinara ones. Oh my God, how good is that going to be, right? So, or you can just go, and it's a weird thing because they don't always do this. You can just go and buy the garlic bread. So maybe you want to make your own spaghetti. Maybe you want to do your own pasta dish at home, but don't want to do the garlic bread. Go there and let them do it for you over at Subway. Now, they do have the Chipotle cheese steak sandwich. That's still for sale, where you've got the cheesesteak steak, thinly sliced and perfectly seasoned, and then they drizzle it. There's drizzlage of a Southwestern Chipotle sauce that just pows the flavor, if you know what I mean. That's what maybe you're going to have for lunch today at Subway.
Any speaker, anytime. The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
You know, I'm not happy with any of the words that we've got in the dictionary. I feel like I've got to make my own every once in a while. So, yeah, drizzlage is a word on the Ray Gibson Show, as is specklage. We had specklage yesterday as we were talking about the weather, so I put some of that in there. Just one of those things. I can give you another one. It's a situationship. Situationship. Right? It's not a relationship. It's a situation. You know, it's like on Facebook, you got it's complicated. right? So, so you have a situationship with somebody, right?
I like it.
Good work. 7:18 in the morning, 888-825-5888, Ray Gibson Show. And as you can hear, I got another voice that has leapt into the soundscape and the landscape here on the radio. None other than Jerry Roberts, the king of all media.
Boy.
It's been a while, right? Come on, you remember you've done radio, television, and print simultaneously at various points in your career.
Yes, I have.
And so, leaving us a lot to aspire to from among the younger broadcast talent here.
I don't have any money.
I'm sure.
Are you looking for a loan? What are you...
No, I'm just saying. This is a king of all media here in the studio. So Jerry Roberts, actually ruling two of them. One of them is this one here. It's Extra Points going to do in a second, brought to you by Guam Insurance Services. And then in today's Guam Daily Post, because it's Tuesday, he is a Tuesday columnist.
I do.
And today's work zone, when customer service policy is based on fear.
Yeah.
Can you give me just the front end of that here? The customer service policy is based on fear. It's like,
have they got it? Is the paper there?
Yeah.
I need to see what they actually printed.
No, I got it.
Hang on a second. Because that's one I thought they might have to edit.
Okay. So what happens for the listener? When do you give Mindy these articles?
It's actually Gaynor.
Gaynor. When does Gaynor get? So Gaynor got this in November?
No.
And you forgot?
No. This she actually got it last week.
Mm-hmm.
But let me. Oh no, she okay now. It's all there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What happened was I took my son shopping, which is always an adventure, and he's 13. And we went to a store, and he happened to go to the fitting area, and then a little bit of a drama broke out.
Oh,
because only because of the policies of the establishment, and I won't say where it is. It's all in the article. You'll have to go buy the Post today.
Yes, go buy the newspaper.
Or you can check it online. And just some things happened, and I just decided to give it a little right, and I did.
Customer service policies based on fear. There's a place that I go and pick up clothes every once in a while because they're great sales. They get great sales and very very nice people, not very aggressive. But the fitting room, going to the fitting room at this place always feels like there's the warden and I'm the inmate.
Is this place a place where they give you a number?
There's a number that goes on the door.
Is there a number of? They give you based upon the number of items you're taking.
No, I did not. No, I did not get that.
It was not that place.
Yeah, no. I don't think it was that place.
Well, that's the place I'm talking about in the article.
Because all I want to do is be able to walk through a set of doors that lock and be able to try on a pair of pants or a pair of shorts or a shirt or something like that and see what I look like. But they're all. It just seems to feel like politics. Now I think I understand the reason why. So, obviously it's inventory control, and they are always busy. Yeah. So they have to organize that. Otherwise, it's going to be all hell's going to break out in this place. I get that, but I just always get that feeling like I have to stand there, wait until I get the attention of the guy that's folding clothes and rehanging stuff, and then he kind of does one of these things, breathes through his nose. I've got to stop what I'm doing and let this guy into one of the people that have been there know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's going to be an interesting read in today's Guam Daily Post. And as I say, Jerry Roberts also in studio to deliver live.
Wait, but before we get to this,
what's that?
I'm going to interrupt the intro here for a moment. How many votes did you get?
I don't know. We haven't gotten Maria on the line yet. Do you know, Kev?
I didn't count them up. I'm sorry.
You didn't count?
But I think that Bob got more.
Bob Klitsky got more. Yeah. Oh, he's older, and he's also already been a senator, and everybody in the world wants him to go back to the legislature. And he
some
won't.
of the governor's office.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's people at the legislature. No, not Klitsky. Can we specifically write him out? He's just going. Not Bob Klitsky. I think is the way they voted over at the legislature, and maybe even the governor's office. Do you actually have a PDF?
Yeah.
You got a thing? How did I not get that?
Is it there?
No. I'll see if there's a count on something like this. Or wow, there's 35 pages of all of this.
Are there numbers next to names?
No. Everything is written down kind of one by one. You can obviously see that there's a lot of Alicia Limtiakos, and there's Frank and Alicia Limtiako, Frank and Limtiako Alicia, Frank / Limtiako Alicia. So there's every possible variation of their names there, and so that's why it's taken them kind of long to do all of it.
Slap them into a spreadsheet.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I want to find out, because the read that I got was it's difficult for them to determine the intent of the voter. And I'm looking, if it says anything that looks like Uggan and Limtiako, that's who they were going for. So I'm not sure that there was that uncertainty as to who they were. We'll find out.
You see, the reason that I bring this whole thing up is...
How many did you get when you were J.Q. Fanihi?
186 in one election.
In one election is 186?
186, yeah. And I remember it was the election between Paul Calvo and Ricky Berdalio.
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy Tanaka said, because I was going on the radio and talking about it, and we made bumper stickers up and all kinds of stuff. And Tommy Tanaka said, your guy might get 1,000 votes and swing the election.
Mm-hmm.
And
but if a lot of guys voted for you,
and people at KUAM thought that's a pretty good idea.
You kind of ruined that.
Yeah, so it was, we went for it. But anyway, so I just wanted to know how many you got.
I'll look.
I always tell people I ran third in the gubernatorial election in 1979.
No, because it's true.
It's true.
It's true. We should actually try to do something in the upcoming election. There's some interesting names. See, there's Frank Blas, Frank Uggan, Frank Blas Jr., Frank Hill, all right, so I can see where some of this is going to go. I'm not going to print out all 35 pages of this, but I might review it later on. 7:25.
You take a look at that. It could be Ray Gibson.
Gibson Ray.
It could be Gibson Ray.
People call me Bill.
It could be Bill.
I like it when they call me John.
It could be, what's the guy with the beard that people say you look like? Who's the guy?
Mel Gibson.
No, not Mel Gibson. Who's the other guy? The good-looking dude.
Oh, you're right.
Clooney.
George Clooney.
They write him in. It's you.
I'll take it.
There it is.
I'll take it. It is time right now.
I'm ready now.
For Jerry Roberts and today's Extra Point, brought to you by Gohan Insurance Services.
There is one habit that is common to nearly every person who is considered to be a high career achiever. If you can master it, then there is no limit to what you can do. I'll reveal what that habit is and how you can harness it to accomplish things that most people only dream about. That's next on the Extra Point.
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929-SAVE. That's 929-7283.
Bill Gates and Warren Buffett have built incredibly profitable organizations and have inspired thousands of people to achieve their goals. Both of these men, in addition to many other highly successful people, share a trait that the majority of folks find difficult to handle. They know what to give up in order to focus on what's more important, and then they follow through and do it. Let me give you an example. Gates dropped out of Harvard to go co-found Microsoft. He liked college, but felt his calling was to build software, and he knew he couldn't do both. Obviously, he loves technology, but he refused to let it distract him from building his company. He cut out listening to music and watching TV because those things got in the way of him thinking about his work. He also stuck to his principles in his parenting. Gates didn't allow his children to have a cell phone until they were 14, where on average, young people get their first phone at age 10. One of Buffett's famous quotes is, "I can buy anything I want, but I can't buy time." He doesn't waste it on activities that don't lead him in the direction of his goals. Buffett reads 500 pages of books and newspapers a day, and he'll be 89 this year. I read and think and make less impulsive decisions than most people in business. He's an investor, so the reading improves his investing. He knows what his priorities are, and he feeds them. This is not about wealth. This is about making a decision on a goal and then following that up with a commitment. But it doesn't stop there. Commitment is meaningless unless you add execution. And execution is all about the details. Wrapped up in the details is sacrifice. And this is where the line is drawn between those who ever have a real chance to make their dreams a reality and those who end up playing the woulda, coulda, shoulda game. Look, this doesn't mean you can't ever hang out with friends or occasionally blow a whole day on Netflix. The key word there is occasionally. If those things are blocking your progress, you need to look in the mirror and revisit your decision. If you're spending 20 hours a week on Netflix, you might think of what else you can be doing with that time. A while back, I read an article on this, which referred to two friends posting on Facebook. One guy wrote, "Hey, we vegged out all weekend watching this show and that show on Netflix. It was cool. What did you do?" The other guy posted back, "I spent Sunday afternoon showing my kid how to throw a curveball." His boy wanted to learn, and it became an easy decision for the man because in his mind, there was nothing more important than making that memory. Achievement is knowing what you want, and just as important, mastering the art of sacrifice in order to chase after it. Do this in business and in your personal life, and the sky is truly your limit. That's the Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, The Ray Gibson Show and Guahan Insurance Services, I'm Jerry Roberts.
I'm sorry, what was today's episode about? I was on my phone. I didn't catch any of that.
Let me start over.
I have that. I do. There's and the Ray Gibson corollary on that is the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Where I'll wake up and it's Saturday, I go run, I come home, take a quick nap, and I think, as I'm laying down for the nap, I'm thinking, okay, as soon as I get up, there's going to be yard work, and I'm going to go through the bills, and I'm going to take care of all of this, that, and the other. I got 20 chores lined up, and invariably, I'll wake up from the nap on the couch, reach for the remote control, and what'd you say? Netflix and chill.
Yeah.
And blow a few hours until it's time to do something else.
And it's okay.
It's all right.
If it's an occasional thing, and you need that.
Well, I only do it once a week, every Saturday.
Okay, but some people need time to kind of veg, and just release.
I only do it on days that end in Y. It's very occasional.
Yeah.
And if I'm not, because I always like to think, well, I'm pretty disciplined about my time, and I'm pretty disciplined about how I spend my time, and I don't always Netflix. I like to see what's on, what's playing, and if there's any new shows that are worth binging or watching on either Netflix or Hulu. And if I can't find one, then I'll go to social media and see what's going on, and then invariably waste at least 45 minutes going through notifications, and somebody's got a cool story up there or something like that. But it's important to stay connected because these are the people that are listening to the program.
Well, now in your case, you see, now you can
Can I say that's work? I can refer to that as work?
Well, because you integrate it into your work.
Yes.
So it's kind of like a cheat, but it works for you.
I do my best. As an example, today, Bert Johnson writes, yesterday at 8 o'clock last night, Bert Johnson, yes, the Bert Johnson, been sitting in the dark for over an hour. No power. The neighbors claimed the transformer down the street exploded. I checked it out. Looks like a snake hanging from the wires. Called in and mentioned location and the snake, and the dispatcher responds, again, we just removed one from that same area this afternoon. 'Tis the season.
There you go.
Yeah, 7:31. By the way, Mike, I used the phrase, 'tis the season. Thank you.
330 days.
The other one. 7:32 now. It must be time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. There's Kevin Kerrigan. Thanks, Chair.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, the total salary costs for the Office of the Governor under the new Leon Guerrero administration are about $629,000 less than they were under the Calvo administration, according to acting BBMR Director Lester Carlson. The staffing pattern released by the Leon Guerrero administration on Saturday shows nearly $4.2 million will be spent on the salaries of the 79 people who have been hired to work at Adelup. In January of last year, about $4.8 million was budgeted for the salaries for roughly the same number of employees in the January 2018 staffing pattern under the Calvo administration. In district court yesterday, 38-year-old Robert Curtis Lujan Saturnio pleaded guilty to conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine. According to the plea agreement, Saturnio took part in a conspiracy to distribute meth on island from August through October of 2014. He admitted to shipping packages of meth in the mail from California to a mailing address in Jigo. Saturnio agreed to cooperate with the government in ongoing investigations, and he was released pending sentencing. Lieutenant Colonel Esther Agagi has been nominated to be the new Adjutant General of the Guam National Guard. She was sworn in by the governor at Adelup yesterday. Her nomination will be formally submitted to the legislature for confirmation. We have the utmost trust and confidence that she is the best soldier to lead the Guam National Guard, said Governor Leon Guerrero. In June, Agagi was the first woman in the Guam Army National Guard to graduate from the U.S. Army War College. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Oh, that's awful. I'm sorry. Somebody, not you're awful. I just got on the WhatsApp. Ray Gibson compared to Clooney. Is Mr. Roberts' contract up for renegotiation? It's promotion time. Bonus time of the year, or does his son like Ray's daughter? What you talking about, Willis? He put that in there as well. Thanks, I appreciate it. Hey, listen, I did not solicit that compliment. I did accept it, but I did not solicit it. It's 7:34, and that's iConnect time. Run around the nearest iConnect, why don't you, and ask them about great plans, great savings for you in 2019. They do push to talk, they do mobile, they do internet, they do plenty of stuff. Find out by giving a ring. 888-8888.
At Chili's, our burgers stack up with anyone's. Handcrafted to order, smashed to lock in flavor on a toasted brioche bun. Our burgers are all kinds of perfect. Choose from the Chili's Chili, the Mushroom Swiss, the Ultimate Bacon, or you know what? We dare you to take on the Boss Burger. Loaded with smoked brisket, rib meat, jalapeno cheddar sausage, and bacon. We may have really out-burgered ourselves. Our burgers are more than a handful, served with garlic, dill pickles, and fries. So hurry in today and enjoy our juicy, melty, yummy, handcrafted creations. Perfection between two buns. Chili's. More life happens here.
So my name does pop up a few times in the write-in report that has been issued by the Guam Election Commission after 3 some odd days of doing because it's got to be done by hand, a hand count of all of the write-ins, and there were a whole bunch of write-ins, 8,000 of them for sure. We know that at least 3,800 of them were for the team of Frank Uggan and Alicia Limtiaco, but that's the tip of the iceberg. That's that configuration of those names, right? There are other ways that you could have done Frank and Alicia, and they still they may want to go through some of that. I don't know. I couldn't tell you because it seems to me that if it wouldn't have an impact on the outcome of the election, why bother, right? We'll just issue the spreadsheet in its current form. 7:36 in the morning. Is there traffic? Well, I got the music playing, so there must be southbound Marine Corps Drive, as you would at this time of day, coming out of the lower parts of Jigo and up around Dedido and Isang 1 and 3 is starting to busy up. There's a whole lot of traffic on 3 all by itself. And I'm looking at a line of traffic along Macheche right now between there and Adacao. There seems to be some traffic that is moving towards Route 15 that is not moving as fast as I'm sure other people would like. In the 8, 10, and 16, traffic from about the post office area through Happy Mart intersection, through that intersection until you get to about where the Golden Sea is. Expect some slowdowns there. 10 and 15, slow down. 10 and the intersections that take you into the University and GCC, also pretty busy this morning. 4 and 10 traffic's building through there, and there's a few spots where it might thicken up through Route 4 before you get into Agana, but shouldn't be too much of a problem. Traffic in and out of the downtown Agana area kind of depends on which lane you're on. If you're headed towards Sinanya, you might see more slowdowns at the intersections than if you were moving in the opposite direction. But you're going, I don't work in the opposite direction. That doesn't help me at all. And looking at another one of my favorite intersections, and it seems more and more we're going to need to do something about this. Do I have a minute? Can I just riff on this for a second? I am born and raised on a Guam where there has virtually always been a Kipuha loop. Even before we put Chief Kipuha there had been a loop through the traffic. That was, I don't know, somebody's brilliant idea years ago, and I'm not even sure why they have a loop there, but they do, right? So if you're headed southbound on Marine Corps Drive, if you want to go from Marine Corps Drive to Route 4, you've got to go around the loop. You got to make that loop. And most people around here, for the most part, we get it. We understand. But my understanding past that is that if you are using a GPS-enabled device like virtually every Korean tourist driver is, it says to take a left turn there. And so we're seeing a lot more cars trying to make a left turn at that intersection. And if you ask me, you know what? We ought to make that a left turn. Why not? Why could we not establish that as a left turn? I mean, you can still use the loop for traffic coming in off of around the Paseo area. Just saying. Wonder if it's time that we examine it. You know, and people say, well, you can't do that. It's been like that for decades. Well, also for decades, you could not make a left-hand turn off of Route 8 on the Marine Corps Drive. That is a recent development around here. And if you can imagine the hell it was before, what you had to do was make a right-hand turn, and about where Cars Plus is, hang a Louie and come back. I know, it was ridiculous, and they finally got around to fixing that. So I'm just saying, Route 4, Marine Corps Drive, and allowing left-hand turns, would that not shave off some time off of your commute? Here, I'll do it this way. Would that not say? And you're going to go, yeah, but it's pennies a day. Yeah, well, over a year, those pennies add up. I mean, how much is gasoline costing you? You know, sit in that, and you go around, you sit at the intersection, you got the guys begging for money or ranting about something. Forget it. Just turn left. It's 7:39, and that's right now traffic in Des Moines.
Cheers to 80 years. It's our 80th anniversary and the gifts are on us. 80 gift certificates, 8 shopping sprees, 8 staycations, and 1 round-trip flyaway for 2 to Manila. So how do you enter? Calvo's Insurance personal home and auto customers are automatically entered. Non-Calvo's customers may enter by receiving a qualified quote. It's our way of saying thank you for trusting us for the past 80 years. For more details, visit calvos.com/giveaway or call 472-6816. Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years.
Premise of the Ray Gibson Show, and it has been since I started doing talk radio, is I am not a journalist. To a degree, I am a commentator. I know how to do the journalism thing, but I leave it to the experts like Kevin Kerrigan, and guys that have got the training and the background and the drive and desire to get it right. So for me, it all comes down to my interpretation of the news and the variety of news sources that we've got available to us here on Guam. And it, you know, I got to say, it's pretty good. You know, a town of this size, a couple of newspapers and a couple of news departments on television, and a variety of citizen journalists that you might run into that have got some interesting blogs. Of course, we got Stars and Stripes, and there's another, what is it, the Island Times? There's Pacific Island Times. There's a variety of sources from which to gather material to talk about on a daily basis. So that's what this show is about. Yeah, I joke and say it's you know, political gossip and smart-ass comments, and to the degree that it is, yeah. But the other one is just, you know, kind of my interpretation of what the stories are and where I think certain things might be interesting. As an example. As an example, front page of the Daily Post today, and it leads you into page 5, but talking about a bill seeks to legalize games of chance during the fairs. You know, we take the gambling issue here on Guam, and there are certain types of gambling and gaming that we tolerate around here. And I think there is a little bit of a moral inconsistency in this conversation. We've got games of chance, Beto game, colors game, balloon game, whatever, the games of chance at the carnival. And I think for the most part, most people are okay with that. I don't know when we became okay with game rooms. I do, but I don't recall it being something that everybody had a chance to vote on. Except the 14 or 15 people over at the legislature trying to save Guam Memorial Hospital and coming up with exactly the wrong solution to do it. And so apparently we don't like casinos, or we don't like any of the casino legislation that we've ever had in front of us. Nobody's ever asked us about casino gaming at the carnival. It was one of those things that came up and came down, and last session of the legislature they voted it down. And now there's a group of guys over at the legislature that are talking about bringing back games of chance to the carnival. And the reaction from Senator Talena Nelson, the Vice Speaker of the legislature. The law was put forth and prioritized because the voice of Guam's people who 5 times since 2000 have rejected gambling. How many times will the people's voice be ignored? And I got to tell you, Talena, I don't think that was there's the right voices. Like I said, we've got different versions of gaming here. Games of chance, and then we've got the gambling parlors at the carnival, and we got the game rooms, and then we got the big casino conversations. And nobody has ever liked the casino conversations. Some people don't like it because they didn't like the deals that were being offered. They were okay with casino gambling. So we voted down casino gamblings. We haven't been given a choice on the game rooms, unfortunately. And I think the idea of shutting down the casino and games of chance at the carnival a couple of years ago was capricious and not, I think, lined up with the moral compass that you're talking about. And so we got to have that conversation. I'm delighted there is a bill that will bring up that conversation now in front of the legislature, establishing, where is it, Bill number 29, which would establish rules and regulations related to games of chance at the fairs, and they would put that on the Mayor's Council. And the Mayor's Council has to work fast, if you ask me. I've got Melissa Savares on the line, the chair of the boss of the mayors, right?
I'm just leading the pack.
Leading the pack here. I'm sure you're delighted as somebody that's going to be responsible for a successful and memorable carnival season for the 75th Liberation festivities. I'm sure you're delighted to see this other pass at Games of Chance.
Yes, Ray. You know, I mean, you've been to the carnival when we did within the last 2 years, right?
Oh, you know what? I passed by it, and you know, to the degree that the administration tried their best to put together a festive activity, frankly, it was just like Food Truck Tuesday, Food Truck Thursday on steroids.
Yes, and so this is what we're, you know, I mean, even the entertainers, it's really difficult when you don't have the festive sounds, and entertainers are saying, what, you know, last year, the last 2 years, the mayors actually put together, or the year before, every day of the carnival time, the mayors were in charge of entertainment. Mm-hmm. And so we brought our groups out, and nobody else came. It was the entertainers and the mayor's group sitting in front of whoever mayor was it that hosted entertainment for the night, sat in front of the stage, and you don't hear, you have 3 or 4 food vendors. You know, it's really difficult. A few kiddie games, but you don't have the festive sound, the entertainment going, of the, you know, place your bets kind of thing, and then just the games of chance that
it's part of the character, and I think it's an indelible part of the character. When I heard that the legislature had voted in that direction, I was extremely annoyed. And the other thing is, there are people who make a living. There are families. This is the big deal for a number of families on Guam that normally just kind of going about their day-to-day work. But when it gets to be carnival season, it's brothers and sisters and moms and dads and cousins, and we're going in there and we're going to build the booth and we're going to man the booth for all of the hours and for as many days as there are, so that they can bring in some money to sustain the family for the rest of the year.
That's correct, and that's what families are, you know, do during the summertime. You know, so, and then without that sound, it's now everybody just stands around in the front of their booth and look at each other.
Yeah,
yeah. And then we, you know, whoever comes down, I even play the kiddie games so that I can contribute to the vendors that are there.
Yeah, well, boy, I tell you what, sometimes that can be a pretty expensive prospect of sitting down with some of these kiddie games. My recollection is some of them are pretty expensive, and then you've got some of, you know, the other things, arts and crafts and all of the things that go into it. But there are largely fewer of those because they can't guarantee that there's going to be a crowd sufficient enough to make it worthwhile to go there and hang out for 6 hours a night.
Right, and you know, so. You know, vendors are discouraged with putting in a bid.
I'm not. If nobody's going, then like I said, I'll do Food Truck Thursday.
Well, you know, that happens actually on Wednesdays. You know, the night market, because we're down there, and so we actually met with the Lieutenant Governor last week and his team, and we're looking at festivities starting from the museum and working their way all the way to the Paseo grounds.
Nice, nice.
You know? So, you know, you'll have arts and crafts and some entertainment going on at the Skinner Plaza area behind the museum. And then you come across the street and you have your rides and your, hopefully, games of chance, you know, and food vendors.
Well, there's still the building there for the casino, right?
I believe so, but that's not our building.
Right. Look, here's the thing. You know, we had it for a long time, and I can't remember what the big deal was about why they wanted to take the casino out in the beginning of the 34th Guam legislature. But they also contributed significantly to the success of, at least the financial success of the liberation activities. So I think maybe we ought to give that another look. I mean, we're not talking about a full-time casino. We're not talking about trying to bring in, you know, millions of Chinese tourists to come and play the games over at the carnival. What's the big deal? When I was a kid, we had the casinos there, and it just made it a big deal about not making. If you were under 18, don't go inside.
Right, and the doors are closed. And that's the thing. When that building went up, you know, you have a nonprofit organization that runs a casino. They have to apply for their license at tax and pay the GRT. They do need to report. So it's to keep their nonprofit status up to date as well. So one of the things is that once we get the bids from these games, or whether all the vendors that come in, whether it be the games or the food vendors, that's all that we get to operate the entire, and we're looking at 60 days of carnival. And so, you know, we have just to put the transformer in for the power to power up all these booths is over $15,000 that we pay to GPA.
Bah.
And we don't, and so that comes out from all the bids, Ray. We don't use Mayor's Council money because we don't have that kind of money at Mayor's Council to pay GPA. That comes from the vendors' bids.
Yep.
So the money that we collect goes back to paying the utilities, installing the, you know, everything that we need for permitting purposes and operations at the carnival sites. It pays for, I mean, what we get from the parade entries is not enough to pay for the parade itself. So it pays for partially the parade. It, you know, contributes to other events, the memorials. So, you know.
Well, what have you guys looked at the numbers here? I mean, how many people that were in the 34th Guam legislature that supported that original bill that Telena introduced then? How many of them are still around, and have you guys started the lobbying process with the rest of them? Otherwise, our 75th anniversary of the liberation is going to suck.
Yeah, there's, you know, the 7 members. It was unanimously voted against. You know, to just remove it completely. But we've been lobbying. You know, we've talked, each of us have been talking to several senators. We have a colleague who's a senator now. Mayor Pito is there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I personally also spoke to another senator, and she said, you know, I won't co-sponsor, but if it's just for liberation, she will support it.
Duh, yeah, it's just for liberation. It's always been just for liberation. I don't understand it, and I don't know. And then to link it to the referendums that we've had in the past to gambling, to legalize casino gambling on a 24/7 basis is inconsistent in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're the same thing.
Ray, I have a game room a block away from my house.
Ding, 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 ding. See, that's what I'm talking about, the moral consistency here. We didn't get a chance to vote on game rooms, yet they're everywhere.
Yeah, so, you know, there's more people there than there would be at the carnival on a given night,
mm-hmm.
You know, and they're outside at late times of the night, you know, and it's a concern because we could, increase of crime, right? I have the person who owns a building across the 24-hour laundry that complained to me about vandalism in the middle of the night. Well, who's across the street? People from the game room.
The game room there. And they're going to try to break into something and find some more money to go support their abbot in the game. And I said, we did not get a chance to vote on that. That was the wisdom of the legislature. 32nd Guam legislature, when they were trying to bail out the hospital and decided that we were going to authorize those gaming devices, those specific gaming devices for use. And I thought there'd only be a couple of them, but it seems to me, I thought thought there was a finite number of these machines here on Guam, but it just seems to me there's like new game rooms popping up all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so okay, well you keep working on that. Note from a listener wanting to know when are the mayors getting off their butts and fine people who turn their dogs loose.
Well, we're working on that, Ray. We have a stray animal roundup plan, and we're starting to execute that with our teams. So we've actually, in one case in our village, where we aggressively went out with animal control, and the person who was actually feeding the dog went, and it's a stray. She went and actually bought a leash and a collar for that dog, and now is keeping it in her property.
See, that's all it takes. A little bit of enforcement, people will get the idea. But if nobody is looking in that direction, it's going to be tough. My brother Dave is asking you to get a hold of former Governor Gutierrez and see if he can bring back midget boxing.
Great entertainment.
We had a good time with that. That was back in the old what is it?
That means we would have to put a boxing ring at the Liberation thing, and not just.
But it would be great. We do the boxing ring, and then we can have like charity matches. You know, we get Josh Tenorio fighting all the other bald guys.
Too funny.
That's what I work on, dear. That's what I'm working on. Hey, good luck to you. I'm behind you guys on this. I wasn't crazy about that legislation. I was more annoyed that it's one of those things where it's just another example about how we can be morally inconsistent around here with our decisions. Oh, gambling is bad. We don't like gambling. Game rooms, on the other hand, are okay. They're all right with the game rooms. I mean, we either are or aren't.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I'll talk to you pretty soon.
Thank you, Ray. Have a good one.
Have a good time and enjoy the mayor thing that you like to do. 755-888-8255-888-TALK. And I'm trying to sort my way through some mathematics here, and I used a calculator when I did this, but it's still possible that I could be wrong. And page 6, today's Guam Daily Post, there's a story, director, new salaries cost lower than previous administrations. Like I said, everybody's falling all over themselves saying, no, we're cheaper than the last guys. The 35th Guam legislature is cheaper than the 34th Guam legislature. There's a 400 and what is it? They're saying $431,000 less than was spent between the two legislatures. Well, if you add up what this legislature is spending and that legislature is spending, the difference now is only about 0.3%. Nothing. As I said, it's not tomato. It's potato.
That can't possibly be the correct math. It's 400,000.
400,000.
Okay.
So what is the percentage of $12 million? So you've got 400,000 divided by $12 million.
It's about an eighth, about 12%.
It's I'll show you on my calculator.
Okay.
So using the same math as they used at the Guam Election Commission. I can't be wrong.
Now, that it's just the staffing at Adelup.
No. Well, I'm talking about, like I said, the legislature's trying to get over themselves and say, no, we're cheaper. Say because you know why? Because you guys did the story about what they were spending in the legislature. So now everybody knows there's going to be an A/B comparison between 35 and 34. And the guys over at the governor's office say that we need to have an A/B comparison between the Leon Guerrero administration versus the Calvo administration. But like I said, as I'm looking at the numbers, if these are A and B numbers, the governor's office, the Leon Guerrero administration governor's office, just 4 categories, governor, lieutenant governor, chief of staff, and deputy chief of staff, adds up to $410,000 worth of taxpayer spend. In the Calvo administration, Eddie and Ray were making the same amount as Lou and Josh, but Tony Babauta is making $14,000 more than Mark Calvo was, and John Junior Calvo is making $12,000 a year more than Rose Ramsey was. Therefore, these 4 names, and this came from Les, right? This came from the actual governor's office? It came from those guys. So it's
not a comprehensive list of everybody.
No, certainly not. But, I mean, if that's what you're using as an example, the numbers don't bear out what you're trying to say.
Well, no, but remember, separate the staff at Adelup from the cabinet appointments. They're different.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've looked at some of those numbers too. So get a copy of today's Guam Daily Post and a scratch pad and a pencil and a eraser and go through all of the numbers on 6. Add up the numbers on one side in those departments. Add up the numbers on the other side in those departments. I'm just saying there's going to be a couple of places where you're scratching your head wondering how they came to those kinds of conclusions. Minute and a half or so in front of 8 o'clock in the morning. 888-825-5888-TALK. Midget boxing. Come on, you know you want it back as well. Is that something that they could do? Is that something that we might be able to do how does that fall? Is that H-2B or is it H-2A, or can we get these guys in on a regular visitor's visa from the Philippines? These little midget boxers that they have there. I'm looking at Mike. Mike doesn't know. Then we should try. We should try.
Let's just get American midgets.
I suppose we could. We could. 888-825-5888-TALK is the telephone number. Stand by for yet more action in the next couple of hours. We'll spend a little bit of time trying to talk about sports. It's really hard to talk about sports when for the most part, I'm kind of football centric, and if I pay any attention to any sport at all, it's football, and that's going away after Monday, and we're going to have this long time where we're just going to be. I will hem and haw my way through basketball and baseball and highlight and a few other things. At any rate. That's all I had right here. I want you to be listening for it, and we'll find a few more people agitate in the next hour of the program. Stick around, Brown. We're KUSG. Hug gotten you. Fox News Live is next.
Not ruling out another shutdown. Elisa Brady, Fox News.
We don't want another government shutdown. We want a deal that actually addresses border security. It seems like it should be so simple.
White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders moments ago saying both Republicans and Democrats agree on the need for border security, but the president also still says a wall is necessary.
At the end of the day, the biggest thing that has to happen is there has to be real and adequate funding for border security, including funding for a wall, and we'll see what the conference comes back with.
A bipartisan conference committee set to begin talks Wednesday. The temporary spending that ended the partial government shutdown runs out in less than 3 weeks. Sanders reiterating the president's threat to take executive action if there's no deal. Meantime, a new date set for the State of the Union. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi extending the formal invitation for the president to give the address 1 week from tomorrow, February 5th, the date mutually agreed to, she says, after the government shutdown ended. The U.S. putting mounting pressure on Venezuela's elected President Nicolas Maduro to transfer power to opposition leader Juan Guaido, who declared himself in charge last week.
I call on all responsible nations to recognize interim President Guaido immediately. Maduro has made clear he will not recognize Guaido or call for new elections. Now is the time to stand for democracy and prosperity in Venezuela.
National Security Advisor John Bolton announcing sanctions on Venezuela's state-owned oil company, expected to block billions in assets and export proceeds. Multiple countries have recognized Guaido as interim president. Maduro accuses the U.S. of leading a coup against him. Wall Street still worried about China's economy and the impact on global growth. The Dow dropped 209 today to 24,528. This is Fox News.
There's a reason every day a Guam homeowner is getting a solar system installed by Micronesia Renewable Energy. It's because MRE is the most trusted name in solar. With more solar energy solutions than any other solar company on island, homeowners have a choice to go solar for zero money down or take the path to ownership. Whichever way, it keeps our skies blue and your pockets green. And with the most experienced solar technicians and an energy production guarantee, there are no worries. Call 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, the smarter choice.
Cheers to 80 years. It's our 80th anniversary and the gifts are on us. 80 gift certificates, 8 shopping sprees, 8 staycations, and 1 round trip flyaway for 2 to Manila. So how do you enter? Calvo's Insurance personal home and auto customers are automatically entered. Non-Calvo's customers may enter by receiving a qualified quote. It's our way of saying thank you for trusting us for the past 80 years. For more details, visit calvos.com/giveaway or call 472-6816. Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years.
New charges against the undocumented man accused of killing 4 people in Nevada.
District attorneys in Douglas and Washoe counties have joined forces to file charges against Wilbur Martinez Guzman together. Douglas County DA Mark Jackson mapped out the order of crimes from burglarizing Sherry and Jerry David's house, stealing their gun, killing Connie Kuntz, then Sophia Renkin, then going back to the Davids and killing them.
I'm not aware of any other case here in Nevada where we have an individual over the course of approximately 6 days commit 4 murders and commit crimes on a daily basis between Douglas County, Carson City, and Washoe County.
He's already been charged in Carson City with several counts, including burglary and pawning his alleged victim's jewelry. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Extreme cold is coming. That warning from forecasters and elected officials in parts of the Midwest where it could feel like 60 below by Wednesday.
You want to dress for the weather, limit your exposure outside, limit any surface of your skin that's exposed to the weather, and then get back inside and stay warm.
Chris Shields is Chicago's assistant public health commissioner. The dangerous cold comes on top of the latest snowstorm. Parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin getting more than a foot, and even Atlanta could get some snow or ice.
I hope it doesn't freeze. I hope we don't have any problems, but we've seen before when we aren't proactive, you have black ice, you get wrecks on the connector.
Georgia Governor Brian Kemp hoping to avoid the kind of problems that happened during a storm 5 years ago, days before Atlanta hosts the Super Bowl this Sunday. The FBI chief just announcing criminal charges against Chinese telecommunications giant Huawei, accused of theft of trade secrets, obstruction of justice, and wire fraud in a 10-count indictment. The company is accused of misleading banks about business and violating U.S. sanctions, also with stealing trade secrets from T-Mobile. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
At Chili's, our burgers stack up with anyone's. Handcrafted to order, smashed to lock in flavor on a toasted brioche bun. Our burgers are all kinds of perfect. Choose from the Chili's Chili, the Mushroom Swiss, the Ultimate Bacon, or you know what? We dare you to take on the Boss Burger. Loaded with smoked brisket, rib meat, jalapeno cheddar sausage, and bacon. We may have really out-burgered ourselves. Our burgers are more than a handful, served with garlic, dill, pickles, and fries. So hurry in today and enjoy our juicy, melty, yummy, handcrafted creations. Perfection between 2 buns. Chili's. More life happens here.
Security Title is honored to sponsor Ray Gibson on The Point. In 2019, we resolved to continue our mission of protecting and ensuring the land and homes of our beautiful island. Additionally, we resolved to maintain our vital connection to our families and our community. Protehi Itanomo, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Are you not getting paid what you're worth? Or not reaching your full potential at your job? If you're pioneering, adventurous, competitive, love talking to people, and want to earn $100,000 per year, sell cars on U.S. military bases with Military Auto Source. Start on Guam, stay on Guam, or move to Japan or Korea. To see if you qualify, visit MASEastasiarecruiting.com. Military Auto Source, helping you reach your full potential.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 8 a.m. this Tuesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Games of chance at the Liberation Carnival and other fairs on island may be allowed again if Bill 29 gets signed into law. The measure was introduced by Senators James Moylan, Jose Terlahi, and Joe San Augustine. It would authorize the Mayor's Council of Guam to determine whether limited games of chance should once again be authorized and establish rules and regulations for such games. The bill does not specifically authorize gambling, and it does not say what types of games of chance would be permitted. That's left up to the Mayor's Council. The current ban on games of chance was introduced in the last legislature by Senator Talina Nelson. It's now Public Law 34-15. The result has been a loss of gaming revenue for the Mayor's Council. In reaction to this new bill that would allow the mayors to revive gaming, Senator Nelson issued a release yesterday saying the people of Guam have voted against gambling on at least 5 occasions, and although the mayors may need more income, gambling is not the solution, she said. U.S. Attorney Fred Black accusing defendants Raymond Martinez and Juanita Mosier of jury tampering. Martinez and Mosier have twice gone to trial in district court on allegations of trying to smuggle 8 pounds of meth into Guam from California. Both trials have ended in hung juries. The federal government has now refiled the case in California, but it can't proceed there until all the motions here on Guam have been resolved. Defense attorneys are asking for the case to be dismissed. However, U.S. Attorney Black responded by raising the jury tampering allegations during a hearing yesterday before Judge Tydinko Gatewood. Black called FBI Special Agent Joshua Kipp to testify yesterday about recordings of phone calls made between Martinez and Mosier and former Guam police officer John Mantanonia, in which one recording they appeared to be talking about getting people to show up in force to support the defendants in front of the jury. In another recording, payoffs were discussed. Worse than meth distribution, said Black, is the defendants turning justice on its head. No decision was reached yesterday. The hearing continues today. We'll have more news after this.
Do you know someone who has difficulty following conversation in noisy places or turns up the TV a little too loud? These may be signs of a hearing loss. Ross Hearing Aids specializes in hearing evaluations, custom-fit hearing aids using the latest in wireless digital technology, and custom-fit hearing protectors. Call Ross Hearing Aids today to schedule a complimentary hearing consultation. 637-HEAR, 637-HEAR. Ross Hearing Aids, located across Shirley's in Harmon.
Guam Regional Medical City. We bring the healthcare advances of the world directly to you. We are an acute care hospital that complements your needs with our robust outpatient specialty clinics. From preventative care to critical care, we strive for consistent excellence at GRMC. Our core philosophy is where patients are partners, which means we work as a team to make a healthier version of you. For more information about GRMC, visit us at grmc.gu.
10 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. The mobile X-ray cargo screening system at the island seaport is broken. The maintenance contract to repair it has expired. As a result, there's a reduced number of containerized inspections that customs officers can conduct. That, according to Guam Customs Information Officer Jesse Santos Torres. The mobile X-ray cargo screening system has been operated by Customs to scan incoming cargo containers for contraband. Santos Torres says customs officers are now using a risk management approach to determine which containers require further inspection. A new 3-year service contract to cover repairs for the screening system would cost $216,000, or about $72,000 a year. The cargo screening system was purchased by the Port Authority of Guam in February 2015 for $759,000. The funds came from federal grants awarded to the port by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and Federal Emergency Management Agency. Lieutenant Colonel Esther Agagi has been nominated to be the new Adjutant General of the Guam National Guard. She was sworn in by the governor at Adelup yesterday. Her nomination will be formally submitted to the legislature for confirmation. We have the utmost trust and confidence that she is the best soldier to lead the Guam National Guard, said the governor. In June, Agagi was the first woman in the Guam Army National Guard to graduate from the U.S. Army War College. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray and Mike now with some weather.
Let's talk about the forecast first. Cloudy and breezy. We've got some scattered showers, northeast winds to about 25 miles an hour today, decreasing after sunset. Today's highs near 85 degrees and overnight lows should be about 76 degrees. We'll take a look at a brand new weather radar image here in just a second. Let me just call this thing up and stick it on the screen where everybody can see it. And even if you can't see it, Mike's good enough. He'll tell you what you're looking at.
Yeah, just more of those little ripples in the air moving across, but less moisture with them right now. The sun's come up and it's starting to dry things out just a little bit as compared to overnight. We can probably expect some more of these little ripples to move on throughout the late morning and early afternoon. Should start clearing out by tonight, and then by tomorrow, and then going into Thursday and Friday, things will be much better with isolated showers, very, very widely isolated, and the winds are going to pick up as well. Looking at probably 25 miles per hour, maybe even some gusts up to around 30 on Thursday and Friday. So we'll see how that goes. Checking satellite here. Once again, the shear line The initial push is well to our south now, but we're still getting some moisture riding over the early parts of the surge. That will start to clear out again throughout the day today and tomorrow, and then make way for a pretty good end of the week as we get through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday with the winds picking up and those nice, cool, wintry feels going on out there.
Wintry feels, that's nice. High surf advisory in effect through Wednesday along north-facing Greece. High risk of rip currents there through Thursday night along those very same waters. So be very, very careful if you're going in the water anywhere north, I'd say, of the Micronesia Mall. You might want to just stay out of it unless you're absolutely protected by the reef and are actually swimming with some kind of a life-preserving device. I'd stay out. It's 8:13. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
Here at Make-A-Wish, our Wish kids wish for all kinds of things. A lot of them involve traveling to faraway places. On Monday, February 18th from 6 until 10, we'll be holding an airlines mileage drive with me, Ray Gibson, on 93.3 The Point, to help us grant these travel wishes. So if you've got spare airline miles, you can donate them without any transfer fees. Your donation will go a long way, and so will our Wish kids.
Portions of the program here at 8:14 brought to you by King's Restaurant, because they serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Been doing it for like longer than anybody else practically, and they're good at it. So if you're hungry for some breakfast, they've got one in Tamuning and Harmon. Portions of the program also brought to you by APL. That's American President Lines. They're shipping the future. Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your specialty care needs. And of course, Micronesia Renewable Energy. Big fans of the show, and I want you to know there's never been a better time to go solar.
Every time I travel, there's something from home that I can't leave without. I take my Docomo Pacific Data to Go to share my stories in Taiwan, check subway routes in Tokyo, be my food guide in Hong Kong, meet new friends in the Philippines, make updates in the States, find my way around Korea, and check out all the cool shows in Singapore. It's the data I have in all the places I love for only $10 a day. Data to Go from Docomo Pacific. Better together.
There's spaghetti at Wendy's. You know, you could make it yourself. You could make it yourself. Remember, I was my dad was at the house, and we fried up some lumpia, and he says, do you have a sauce for this? I said, hold on a second, I'll make it. And so I got some vinegar and a couple of packs of ketchup and some baking soda, and you put all that stuff together, and you heat it up, and you put some chili flakes in there, and that turns into a nice little chili sauce. And he looks at me, he says, you know, you could have run to the store and bought a bottle of that stuff for nothing. Okay, so and it's the same thing with the spaghetti over at Wendy's. You could spend all day making the zesty tomato sauce. You could season and grill up your ground beef, and you could boil up your own pasta. Or you can let the people at Wendy's do it. Snack size for $3.49, and meal size for $6.49. You heard it right, friends. There's now spaghetti at Wendy's.
The Ray Gibson Show, bringing you closer to the action. This is The Point, Guam's FM News Talk Superstation.
Well, this is going to be almost as interesting as the sports report that we've got coming up. There's a post from the embattled now freshman Congressman Mike St-Nicholas, frankly, I was going to read one of his posts just a little bit ago, but this is a new one. When I asked one person months ago to mentor me, and it's refused. And another person's months ago to transition me, and it's refused. Any criticism from them about the incoming challenges we are managing is just a reflection of themselves. Kind of sad, Mike writes. Guam is always better served by gracious former leaders, lifting up the new, like Governors Joe Ada, Felix Camacho, and now Carl T.C. Gutierrez. We're working hard, getting great things done, and making significant breakthroughs. We're also having to figure it all out on our own and doing our best at it. Thank you for your patience, Guam. We'll make you proud, I promise. Hashtag unfazed, hashtag mission-focused, hashtag responsible Guam, and hashtag responsible America. And there's a bunch of people that are, chiming in and dropping their comments and compliments on this, including Uncle Robert Underwood, who writes, Biba Congressman St-Nicholas. I hope this post stays up. You continue to display a level of childishness and victimhood. More importantly, you do not have the courage to meet with people in a public meeting or take their phone calls directly. You're not taking the high road. You've taken the off-ramp, and try to convey the impression that you are a victim. A leader is never victimized. They only have the potential to victimize others.
It should be noted that during the time of this show, which has been about a year, Mr. San Nicolas, congressman now, has been pretty difficult to get a hold of. He's not one of those guys who believes in really
return a phone call.
And he's just not a media guy. He doesn't. I don't know if he does it on purpose or if he just doesn't understand that the media could actually be a great tool for him to get out the word and ideas that he wants to share. He just doesn't seem to use it like that. I guess he must see media as some sort of kind of a face-off.
We're a tool.
We're aggressive.
We're a tool.
Fake news. That's my point.
We are fake news.
He's not using us as a tool that he could. It's almost as though there's some sort of conflict there that he must have gotten into at some point in the past.
Maybe he's shy.
I'm not sure about that part. I'm not sure about that part. I mean, we've got. There's two different versions of Mike in my head. There's an online version, and one. I can reach out and send a note to him right now and say, hey, Mike, what's going on? Why don't you next time you're here, come on to the show and we'll work something like that out. And then there's other times. You'll recall there was right after the election, he wanted to give Madeline a chance to do a victory lap, and so stopped communicating with the media, so that any attention that got paid was going to be positive attention on Madeline.
And what I was going to add is that, if you've ever met him, or at least any encounter I've ever had, at this media company, other media companies I've been at, and I just ran into him in the hallways randomly. Always very, polite, nice, cordial.
Yeah,
he'd come up and talk to you willingly. You don't have to go and, talk to him. So I don't know.
I'm not one of those guys in the media that say, well, I tried to reach out to you and you didn't answer the phone, so you're a jerk. Almost said another thing.
I'm that guy.
But you can. But I just I've never seen a high side, and I've never understood the idea that and you see this every once in a while, so and so. Well, we tried to get a hold of him, but he wouldn't respond didn't respond by deadline time. I'm like, okay, well that sounds like that's more your problem than my problem. Right, so it's not. I try. I'm not going to say I never do it. I'm just going to say I try not to do it.
That you always have to point out that you're trying to get the other side.
Yes, that part is important, and especially in this program here. And clearly now there are two sides to this, and so you've got Mike San Nicolas and Sahara Defensor and Jennifer Wynn on one side, and I think everybody else on the other. It'll be fun to watch, right?
Maybe people who like cotton candy will go onto the Mike San Nicolas side.
It could be. Beck Salazar's online. I see Cousin Ted from the Village, Rose, Bill Murphy, Donna Kalani, who's having a good time this morning. He's still laughing about how Jerry Roberts compared me to George Clooney. Hoffa, Linda Salas, Brian B. say, make Bob Klitsky in charge of reducing legislature staffing costs. We'd have to elect him. He'd have to be in the minority and then have to get that particular chairmanship. Hoffa, Carissa Flores is there. Keith Parsky in Washington, D.C., maybe finally back to work. There's Tony Diaz from the church and Chris Watson. Tammy Godwin.
No relation.
Who's that?
I said no relation.
No relation. Renee Lau, Richard Clark, Tessa LaGuardia is online this morning. The Commissioner, Roy Gamboa, is there. And we were talking earlier when Jerry Roberts was in the studio about how it is completely possible to just blow off an entire weekend just watching one show on Netflix. And instead of, working or something like that. I got Sherry Lynn DeFentorum, Greg Karabrock, and I'm sure that by now Greg Karabrock has got everybody over the legal at Take Care asking how this is going to impact them. A piece of legislation from Tina Rose Munya Barnes that says all companies or other legal entities providing or applying to provide health insurance or the provision of health care to the government of Guam shall have contracts for services with all private hospitals operating in Guam that are providing health care services to any and all of their subscribers. You might recall that Take Care has got some serious issues with Guam Regional Medical City, and I'm wondering if this requirement here would prevent them from being able to participate in enrollment of government of Guam employees. And when it gets to be enrollment time for health insurance. We'll see what happens. 8:22 in the morning. Hey, you know what? It's time for Sports with Mike. Man, he was waiting for me.
Trying desperately to mine sports information gold.
Where? From where? What sources?
Everywhere.
Yeah? You find anything?
Yeah. I found some things.
Go ahead. Don't let me stop you.
I do have this though. Let's see here. The UOG women's soccer team, they defeated Team Moses, of which we know well. We know Moses well. They have a soccer team as well. 5-0 over the weekend.
Bet they still had a victory party.
I bet they did, and I bet it had good food at it too. They have an undefeated streak, is why I'm reporting on this, in the GFA Amateur Women's League. They are alive at 7-0, because you know it's soccer, so there can be ties. No ties, no losses, 7 wins. The Lady Tritons were led by the 2 top scorers in the league, actually. Aria Cruz had 2 goals, 12 total on the season, and Alicia Benaventi, she also had 2 goals as well. So good for the ladies, and meanwhile, their male counterparts were also dominating, as the UOG men's team unleashed 2 new weapons against the Guam Shipyard Club, and they were victorious in, let's see here, in the men's league over the weekend at GFA. And interesting to note, they have 2 exchange students from Japan. And they also play, so that kind of helps add a little firepower. They led 6-0 at halftime. They won the match 13-0. So they're 4-1-0 on the season.
All right, I'm going to see if I can take one unrelated thing and turn it into a sports query. Rebecca Salazar online saying, "Good morning, gentlemen. Watching from the Philippines." Thank you very much, Becca. I appreciate you continuing to maintain your habit for the Ray Gibson Show, even while you're traveling and waking up fairly early to do it. It's only 6:23 in Manila right now. And so my question for you, Beck, is have you gone to midget boxing yet? I think in the Philippines it's midget wrestling, right, in Manila?
Hobbit House? I think it's boxing.
I don't know. I've never been.
Yeah, I've just... I've heard rumors. I have no idea. Yeah, I wasn't allowed to go to that part of town.
Boxing, and then you can... It's
like all of Malate is off limits to you? Is that what happened?
Pretty much, yeah.
Isn't there a Velcro wall where they dress up in Velcro and you can throw them against the Velcro wall?
I don't know.
I think so.
That's one of them.
I got a friend supposed to be going to Japan soon, and I'm like, you got to take in the robot show.
Yeah.
Have you seen it? Had you been to Japan and seen the robot show? It's Shibuya, I think.
It's like a restaurant / like they're waitresses, plus they do shows like while you're eating, right, or something like that. So or is it 2 different things? It
is kind of its own thing. If anybody remembers that old nightclub Circus Bruno, so imagine that, but times 10. I mean, you walk into it and it is. In fact, most of that area right there, because it's all Yakuza controlled and everything. But the whole area is kind of a audio-visual assault on you as soon as you get off the subway, and then you go into this building and there's a waiting area which is loud and noisy and kind of confusing. So by the time you get the beer in your hand, after sorting out where it is to go to get the beer, then it's time to go into the showroom. And you go into the showroom, and it's wide, longer than it is wide.
Right. Yeah, it looks like a galley kitchen almost.
So and the stage area is kind of in front of it, and there's 2 sides of it, and then there's these robot creatures.
And it's all
that
black,
come out.
Right? Like it's all darked out. Blacked out. Yeah.
This got to be a $2 million show. Yeah. I mean, this is a big time show that they put together, and like I said, it's just loud and it assaults on your senses. But it's kind of benign. It's got this save the planet kind of feel to it, and women that are wearing just a little bit less than cheerleaders.
And it's also slightly hypnotic in the sense of I will sit there and watch Instagram stories, because that's how I know so much about it. Is people go over there and they'll Instagram story their dinner, whatever's going on.
Oh,
and I'll sit there and watch
the worst
video
food in the
after.
world.
Yeah,
it's gas station sushi. It's bad.
I figure it's like medieval times is in the States, where it's the barbecue chicken's terrible, but you're going there to cheer on the red knight.
Yeah.
And, down the blue knight and all that stuff.
And the service is just kind of so. So when I was getting my beer, I'd get 3 at a time, because I wasn't sure when I'd see the lady again, and just kind of par for the course. And so I don't know how we're going to be able to turn this into a sports story. I'm sure there's a way. Australia on pace to record its hottest January ever. The city of Adelaide, which is a city in Australia, mate, had a temperature of 115.9 degrees. Right?
Fahrenheit, right? I assume.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, Fahrenheit. Because if Celsius, it would be like.
Okay, so you're the weather guy. Comment.
Well, there's not much really to comment. It is their summertime. So, I mean, typically it's hot this time of year there. Right? Another thing to note is that in the wintertime for us, summer for them, the Earth is actually physically closer to the sun. So that's why it's actually hotter in their summer than there are in the northern hemisphere.
But it looks like they're going to break some kind of record. Do you think this will have an impact, a significant impact on their what's the name of the sport with the wicket?
Cricket.
Cricket.
I don't think so. I don't think it's cricket season. right?
Yeah, well, Australia's
Vince
not
Vaughn, I don't
real
wanna
big
play
in
either.
cricket anyway. They're more of a rugby and football kind of.
And Australian rules football.
That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah. We actually, we have a local guy, Zach Pangilinan, who plays for the Houston Major League Rugby team.
Oh, right.
And they had I guess we'll just segue into rugby since we're talking about Australia. But they had their first game of the season. Last year was their inaugural season. They had their first game of the season this past weekend as they faced off against the Austin Elite. And they scratched out a pretty gritty win. And Zach Pangilinan all over the stat sheets as he's got let's see here. The report says the field was soaked. All that meant was the boots of fullbacks Zinzan Elan Pudik and Zach Pangilinan got an extra workout as each man continuously sent rockets and high-hanging bombs at the other and into touch. Let's see here. Pangilinan ultimately came out on top in the dueling efforts to keep the other team on its back heel. While not securing any points himself, Zach Pangalinan's efforts certainly went a long way in assuring the scoring opportunities for the Elite were kept to a minimum. Houston wins 21-20.
I just want to point out, yes, we're that good.
Yeah.
Where I could take a weather story from Australia and bada bing, bada bang, bada boom, we've gotten into a local sports hero who's playing in Texas. We are that good. There's a category of brilliance here that I don't think that you're going to find at any other radio station and for any price. Excellent work there, Blake Watson. I was going to ask about the condition of our sports fields because we've got a new guy over at the Department of Parks and Recreation. Richard Ibanez is there, and I'm kind of curious as to whether or not we've been able to mark any improvements in any of the sporting facilities here on Guam in the last 4 weeks.
I do wonder, and I wonder from we should ask Mark Colby.
See, I was going to ask him that. I was going to ask him
how it looked. How did Paseo fare through this? Because there was some rain and some weather, and then there was also on top of that traffic, on the field all simultaneously. So I wonder how it fared out there.
I don't know. I mean, is there a way that you can make a field less, more impervious, if you will, to weather?
I think maybe just strong. And I'm going to be completely sound like a fool. Yeah. There may be people who work
wouldn't be the first time. I do it every day at least
once. There may be
once.
people who are yelling at the thing, but I did some landscaping in my career. We used to build bullpens in minor league stadiums, and I believe it's we're talking about a baseball mound as opposed to an outfield, but I think it's just field dirt, and then you got to have strong, sod,
underlayment.
Stuff like that. Yeah. But I think the field dirt and the pad is what you really want to make it. Because that'll keep it from being lumpy or from being holy or divotty or whatever.
Yeah, different types of grass also help,
Right.
and you've got to have a field that's pitched on the side so you get good.
So there's
runoff.
automatically some kind of runoff. So the water doesn't stay in the dirt long.
Right. And for a place like Paseo, it's a small stadium, so they're just happy to have a field. So they're not really worried about the elevations and different things. Whereas you get to the Major League Baseball parks, and they're specifically designed for rain to fall on them and for the water to run off as quickly as possible.
To get shed. Yeah,
so
that way we
get
can
back
play
out
as
there with
quickly
some
as
good
possible.
dirt.
Off, and you got your Bermuda and your San Augustine, which is usually what they'll use on different. And the thing is, they'll use two different grasses on the same
I
field
think
in
the
different
San Augustine
area.
tastes better than the other one. I'm not fond of the other one. Rebecca Salazar says yes. She went to the midget place.
Did she?
She did.
Wow.
See, this is it. This is the whole Guam thing. What are you doing in Manila? Gonna go look at midgets. And she said they have midget waiters, but not wrestlers.
Oh, okay, so no more
at
wrestlers.
the place.
All
Okay, all right, I got you. I appreciate you. And so I'm going to ask you what other interesting thing have you done in Manila? I've got to ask because there's a lot of people that they go and they do the same thing every single time. They go to the same shopping and they go to the same clubs and they go to the same restaurants and that kind of thing. What besides the midgets? What else did you do that's different, Rebecca?
If you stick your foot out and trip one of the waiters, they will wrestle you.
Really?
I got left at Green Hills Mall by your nephew in Manila. That was one fun thing I did. And then I had to go on a scavenger hunt for him for about 2 hours after that with no money and everybody trying to get me to buy everything they had.
Yeah, next time, remind me to tell you one time about that time I fell asleep in Long Kwai Fong and woke up somewhere else. Richard Leon asking, what's the question? What's the latest on the NFL Guam native or whatever? We're talking about Zach Banner. He's not coming back to Guam.
Because he was asked to stay by his organization, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you got to think with OTAs and the spring activities coming up, and then, of course, they'll move into training camp in the summer, that's a good sign as far as where the organization feels about him. And then hopefully if he comes to play and produce, then he won't get cut, and we'll see him next year maybe on the field.
8:32 in the morning. That's all the time we got for sports, because we'll be doing more sports in the next hour of the program. I've got guys coming in to talk about the Guam International Marathon. And the reason why it's important that we get this interview done today is because there's a deadline. There's going to be a rate increase at the end of the month. But also at the end of the month, you'll lose the opportunity to sign up online and have your bib personalized.
Right.
Yes.
We talked about that yesterday.
I've already got Chick Magnet.
And I'm so excited I'm always excited year to year to hear what they have new for this race.
Exactly.
They always pull out bells and whistles for this race. Very cool.
We'll see. And finally, the update here was talking about the post that Mike Nicholas did just a few minutes ago. Read the response from former Congressman Robert Underwood. His wife, Narissa, chimes in. I believe there is power to truth. If someone refused to mentor you when you asked, you should call them out by name. If someone did not give you a transition when you asked, and continue to call them out by name. The complaints articulated by veterans and other constituents about your availability cannot be blamed on a lack of mentoring and transition. You ran for this very important position, not with the conditions that you will be mentored by someone or given a transition. I don't think I ever heard you say, vote for me and I'll work hard if I'm mentored and given a transition. So you got... Mike, I don't know how you managed it, but you managed to get both of the Underwoods mad at you at the same time. It's 8:33. That's it. Headlines with Kevin Kerrigan coming up next.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for our all-new Ultimate Cheesy Garlic Bread. How would you like it?
I'll take a skeptical grandma.
Set in her ways?
A smidge.
Grandma, try this Ultimate Meatball Marinara made with Ultimate Cheesy Garlic Bread. Melted mozzarella, Parmesan, garlic butter spread. It's just like yours.
Like mine? My grandmother's recipe?
Try it.
You know, my grandmother's cheesy garlic bread was never all that.
Subway, make it what you want. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
Awesome. Cosendo sending me a WhatsApp message that I can't put on the air. He uses a reference to a certain kind of oral fun that, I'm sorry, Cos, it just doesn't fit in what we're trying to do here in the broadcast. 8:34 in the morning and time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines for the Guam Daily Post this morning, U.S. Attorney Fred Black accusing defendants Raymond Martinez and Juanita Mosier of jury tampering. Martinez and Mosier twice gone to trial in district court on allegations of trying to smuggle 8 pounds of meth into Guam from California, both trials ending in hung juries. The federal government has now refiled the case in California, but it can't proceed until all the motions here on Guam have been resolved. Defense attorneys are asking for the case to be dismissed. However, U.S. Attorney Black responding by raising the jury tampering allegations during a hearing yesterday before Chief Judge Francis Tadenko Gatewood. Black called FBI Special Agent Joshua Kipp to testify yesterday about recordings of phone calls made between Martinez and Mosier and former Guam police officer John Mantanonia, in which, in one recording, they appeared to be talking about getting people to show up in force to support the defendants in front of the jury. In another recording, payoffs were discussed. Worse than meth distribution, said the U.S. Attorney Black, is the defendants turning justice on its head. No decision was reached yesterday. The hearing continues today. The total salary costs for the office of the governor under the new Leon Guerrero administration are about $629,000 less than they were under the Calvo administration. That, according to acting BBMR Director Lester Carlson. The staffing pattern released by the Leon Guerrero administration Saturday shows nearly $4.2 million will be spent on the salaries of the 79 people who have been hired to work at Adelup. In January of last year, the salary level for the employees at Adelup was $4.8 million, according to Carlson. In district court yesterday, 38-year-old Robert Curtis Lujan Saturnillo pleaded guilty to conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine. According to the plea agreement, Saturnillo took part in a conspiracy to distribute meth on island from August through October of 2014. He admitted to shipping packages of meth in the mail from California to a mailing address in Jigo. Saturnillo has agreed to cooperate with the government in ongoing investigations. He was released pending sentencing. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
8:37, and Kevin, check your WhatsApp. I just sent you a hot news tip that all of the other media on Guam is going to be angry that they're not going to have on the front page or the top story of their casts.
Wow.
Yes. I'm using my sardonic voice.
I'm looking at it now.
Yes, very good. 8:37 in the morning, 888-8255. If you have any top stories that you'd like to leak out to the press is... Yes, the press is Kevin Kerrigan, and send it to me. I'll bounce it to him, and you can be a hero, citizen journalist, without getting your name in the middle of all of the crapping and losing out on all kinds of business, because now nobody wants to talk to you. It's 8:37 in the morning, and we'll call that iConnect time. Swing by the nearest iConnect, why don't you, and enjoy the great ideas that they've got for your telecommunications needs in 2019. Push to talk? Yeah. Mobile? Yeah. Internet? Yeah. Find out more by calling 888-8888.
At the heart of everything we do is our mission to improve the life of every child. From mungy nennies to growing teens, they'll be in trusted hands at FHP Health Center, where we offer comprehensive pediatric services to nurture and protect your child's health from day one. Begin your little one's journey to good health at FHP with seasoned pediatricians and professional staff who hold decades of combined experience. FHP Health Center, our island, your clinic.
There's still traffic moving slow on, and that's odd because it's already 20 to 9. Traffic moving slow. Marine Corps Drive southbound out of Jigo, and just before you get to Y Sangsong, it should open up and be fairly clear most of the way down. Obviously, you can expect some delays at the intersections. And what have we got? 8, 10, and 16. I don't know. It's moving slow in some directions. Northbound on Channel 8 on Route 8. Sorry, old TV days, right? Northbound Route 8, you might see some slowing down there as you're making your way towards that intersection, and right around, I think, you know what it is? I'm looking. It's got to be around this time of day where they start giving out some of the fresh donuts over at Crown Bakery, because it looks like I've got a little bit of traffic coming out of the gas station right next to over there. Yeah, I can see it with that much clarity here. 8, 10, and 16. Yeah, that's already told you about that. 10 and 15, a little busy. 4 and 10, little busy. No major problems getting you into the downtown Agutnya area. You'll see a little bit of slowing down in traffic building in front of a Navy hospital, but nothing else in front of either of the other two bases at this time. In 20 minutes, it's 9 a.m. On The Point.
At Chili's, our burgers stack up with anyone's. Handcrafted to order, smashed to lock in flavor on a toasted brioche bun. Our burgers are all kinds of perfect. Choose from the Chili's Chili, the Mushroom Swiss, the Ultimate Bacon, or you know what? We dare you to take on the Boss Burger. Loaded with smoked brisket, rib meat, jalapeno cheddar sausage, and bacon. We may have really out-burgered ourselves. Our burgers are more than a handful, served with garlic dill pickles and fries. So hurry in today and enjoy our juicy, melty, yummy, handcrafted creations. Perfection between two buns. Chili's, more life happens here.
I'm reading up here. I'm trying to get through. I don't know. Some days they're short and some days they're long. And I'm talking about legislation. I don't know if you're the same as me, but I look at different pieces of legislation come out of the legislature, and my favorite ones are the ones where there's a modest amount, if you will, of the once upon a time part. The legislative findings and intent is what they refer to that as. And it tells you the story of why you got the piece of legislation that you got. And sometimes you don't get any. So I like the ones with just enough information so you get a sense of what it is that the author of the legislation was trying to do, or what it is, what problem they're trying to solve. Because sometimes it seems to me in this town we put together legislation that looks to me like solutions out looking for a problem, as opposed to vice versa. And so I like to be able to see what it is that these guys are thinking when they're introducing legislation for consideration by other members of the body. Sometimes you get a lot, sometimes you get a little. In the most recent introductions of measures over at the legislature, you have both examples. Tina Rose Munya-Barnes, Bill number 30, an act to add a section relative to requiring that all private hospitals be covered under the Government of Guam health insurance contract. All private hospitals be covered under the Government of Guam health insurance contract. There's only one private hospital on Guam. And they want to ensure that if they're doing business with a health insurance program, some kind of provider from them, that they are guaranteed. What's the word? Maybe locked in. I don't know. To an agreement by law that if you want to do business with the Government of Guam, their employees and their retirees, you have to offer services at these facilities. And that's what this bill talks about. There is no once upon a time in this one. It goes from there into the section that needs to be added with the words, and then there's an effective date, and then the standard severability language. You've also got a piece of legislation that has been introduced by Senator Jim Moylan, and this one here would seek to create a permanent one-stop business license and permit center operated by the Department of Revenue and Taxation. And under Section 2, legislative findings and intents, this thing goes, it's what is it, 2 pages? Yeah, before it gets to Chapter 8, and that's the working part of the legislation that needs to get changed. Well, that all very interesting, and I'll take a look at that and see if there's anything that I didn't know about the one-stop process, and throw that in there. In the meantime, and is it me, or are we talking with Brent Tibbetts an awful lot these days? It seems we go from one story to the next. We get the little brown or little red fire ants, and then the stories about beach whales and brand new species of triggerfish that will bite you in Tumon if you get too close to their eggs, and now the story of Lourdes the turtle. Good morning, Brent.
Good morning, Barry.
And what a happy story that one turned out to be, huh?
Yes, well, yeah, for that turtle, yes, it did. It sounds like there were other turtles involved that didn't have such a happy conclusion.
Yeah, I did read that in some of the write-ups on the release of Lourdes, the rehabilitated turtle, and apparently there was Lourdes was the last surviving member of the group of what, 4?
I've heard both 3 or 4. I'm not sure which, but certainly there was more than just the one.
All right, and so there's a couple of things about this story that just kind of get you scratching your head. And we'll get to the part about rehabilitation and release. But apparently, according to what I've read, among the accused, and this is a big crime, among the accused include people that knew better by virtue of what they did. They were. I forget some kind of officers, preservation officers.
Quite honestly, that I hadn't heard. That's probably I'd have to talk to our conservation officers to find out what their employment was. But if they were, you're right, they certainly should have known better.
Well, I think by now everybody ought to know better. You don't harass the dolphins, don't harass the turtles while you're out there. Everything has got to be arm's length, because mere contact with them, as I understand it, can be is a criminal offense.
That is correct. Yes.
So don't touch them. Take only pictures if you want to have a memory of that. But I got to tell you, it would be difficult for me to resist if I was out snorkeling over at Gun Beach and one of these guys kind of bumped into me. I'd kind of want to do what we've seen done in movies and grab on and hold on and see if it takes me for a ride.
Yeah, although most of the turtles around Guam, unless they've been trained to approach people, are kind of skittish around people.
Oh, good.
They will always keep a wary eye, if not kind of swim away if a person comes close. But it's rare that one will actually come up to you. It's not, Hawaii is a different situation. They've been protected longer and more rigorously, I guess, and turtles will come right up to people there. But here, our turtles are still a little wary of people.
Yeah, well, there's apparently good reason to be if this one's brothers and sisters, 3 or 4 of them managed to get eaten around the same time, and so just Lourdes was left, and so pick me up from the story of how you guys got a hold of Lourdes the turtle and the rehabilitation process. Where'd that start?
Okay. 2 weeks ago tomorrow, so the January 15th, I believe, or 16th, I got a call from our conservation officers that they were investigating a turtle being held, and they wanted our staff to come down and pick up the turtle, which we did. It was down in Talafofo.
Mm-hmm.
We found a live turtle in a kid's swimming pool. It was being kept there. So we retrieved the turtle. We brought it up. We have an agreement with Underwater World. They have a couple of holding tanks that, when a space is available, we can use one for turtle rehabilitation. So we dropped it at Underwater World, observed it for about 45 minutes there just to make sure it was swimming okay, breathing okay, maintaining balance and such like that. And then the Underwater World staff continue to monitor it. We need to both make sure it's healthy to go out and that all of the legal process has gone through before we're permitted to let it go out. We don't want to give away evidence or something if it's prior to approval from the DT's office.
Okay.
So when the legal process is done and the consensus is that the turtle is healthy enough to go, we go down, we collect data from it, we measure it, we weigh it, take blood samples, tissue samples, and then the turtle is tagged so we can keep track of it, and then it's released at a point, generally somewhere where we think it'll be safe from immediately running into problems again.
Yeah, yeah. There are numerous stories of things like that where animals have been rehabilitated and released out into the sea, only to be eaten immediately by I don't know what are they, killer whales and orcas and sharks. So we wanted to give this one a little bit more of a fighting chance, huh?
Yes, we did. Yeah, and it seemed to be doing very well, but pretty much from the first day it came in. It was, like I said, swimming well. After a few days, Underwater World did give it a little food and it ate aggressively, and it was acting normally in all ways that we could tell. So the decision was made to release it as soon as the legal process was done.
Were there any other tests done on the animal to learn a little bit more about maybe where it might have been and what otherwise constituted its diet and things like that? You know, just lining it up with other samples of other similar species and going, okay, this one's normal?
Well, one of the things we do with the blood sample are you can tell gender, as well as you can look at hormone levels to determine what kind of stress it might be under.
So that was totally the next question I was going to ask you is looking at a turtle, you don't see the same kind of obvious signs on whether it's a boy turtle or a girl turtle. So I was going to ask you, how did you know that you were dealing with Lourdes the turtle as opposed to Lou the turtle?
Well, actually, when turtles are fully mature, you can tell externally. Male turtles have a much larger tail than females do in proportion. But at the size of this one, we really can't tell. It's just really was kind of a roll of the dice. We have 50-50 odds of it being male or female. And we don't know yet. The results of that test aren't known yet. But I guess the sentiment was that, play safe, or we'll play the odds and name it in honor of the newly elected governor.
Yeah.
And so that's how it ended up with its name.
No, I think that's very, very cool. And now the thing is out there. Did you guys fit it with something so that we can identify it again as Lourdes the next time it shows up somewhere?
Yes, it's got both flipper tags, which are little metal tags attached to the front flippers, as well as pit tags, the tags similar to what if you were getting your dog or cat microchipped. The same type of tag has also been put in her, so if she comes up, we can look for either the flipper tags, or occasionally those fall off, but the pit tag will stay in there permanently, and so we'll be able to scan her and see if it's the turtle that's been here before or not.
Now, you say permanently, and it occurs to me that these things have got this incredible lifespan. If left to their own devices and they're in decent hunting grounds, they'll live for a long time. Lourdes is going to be around forever, isn't she?
We hope she's going to be around for quite a while longer. Yeah, I think she was a green sea turtle, and I believe green sea turtles have been aged up to at least 75 or 80 years old. A rough guess, just based on her size, a guess would be she was maybe about 8 years, 8 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
So she's got a long life still ahead of her. Yes, that's true.
Yeah, well, rescued, as it were, almost literally from sheer somebody's appetite, and that's a good thing. And I'm glad that we've got the tools, the technology, and the people here that recognized that there was something wrong and got the turtle into the right hands.
Yeah, for Lourdes anyway, certainly was a happy ending, and we hope that she does come back eventually, and we'll be able to identify her from the tags and see how much she's grown. We probably would try to get length and weight again, see how much she's grown in the time since she left.
That would be cool. But it's too bad you couldn't fit her with some kind of satellite or location device so we could see where it was that she was swimming to.
Yeah, well, if I can say, we do that for nesting turtles, and this past week our turtle crew was able to fit a satellite tag on a nesting turtle on Guam, and so now that the feds are off of furlough in Hawaii, we should have access to some satellite tracking data pretty soon for that newly tagged turtle as well.
That would be interesting to see just how far and away they get from here.
Well, we've been actually satellite tagging turtles for several years here and have tracked quite a few. They generally, when they leave Guam, they go to the west, and we've had turtles end up in Japan, in the Philippines, and in Indonesia that were nesting on Guam.
And then they came back.
And then they come back again, yeah.
Huh. The more you know, right? 8:52 in the morning. What's going to happen to the guys that captured the turtle with the intent to eat turtle?
That I don't know. I'll leave that to the conservation officers and the legal system to decide. That's both a violation of both local and federal law, and generally the federal penalties are more severe. So frequently the federal prosecution is allowed to try this and see what ultimately happens. Gotcha. Well, I got my fingers crossed that there's enough of a punishment here that'll send the word out that these creatures are not to be molested, and a significant part of our culture and an environment around here. So let's make sure that we are going in the opposite direction. Take care of these animals as opposed to catching them for food. Come on, there's a burger down the street. Go eat that. I hope so as well.
Brent, always a delight talking with you. You working on anything fun today?
I'm afraid just paperwork today, so no.
Sucks. Get out there. Put on your reef shoes. Go find me something.
I'll do my best.
You're the man. Brent Tibbetts, ladies and gentlemen, always an exciting conversation. You remember Johnny Carson used to have guys from the zoo come by every once in a while and bring animals. We ought to do that with Brent. We just every once in a while just have Brent come by and bring some kind of critter. And when I say critter, absolutely no brown tree snakes. Right. Have you ever in your hand held a brown tree snake?
No, I'm not. No, but I've seen one fall from the ceiling.
Oh.
Yeah.
Falling from the ceiling.
That was at Akanta Mall.
Was it climbing on the ceiling?
I don't really know. All I heard was it go slap when it hit the ground.
Yeah.
And I realized when I saw it that it had to have fallen from the very top.
There's a way. I think there's the little ridgy things down in the belly. I think they can latch onto just about anything, like lizard feet, and be able to crawl upside down on a wall for at least a little bit before gravity starts finding a way. Yeah, and so I would have quit working there and come here too. That would have been the primary focus. My responsibility's good? Is the pay good? Are the benefits good? And there's no snakes in the actual ceiling that we know of here. That we know of. Closing in on 9 o'clock in the morning. Coming up in the next hour, we'll spend some time talking about the Guam International Marathon. It is a big deal, and disclosure time. Among the reasons why I like talking about the Guam International Marathon is, number one, I'm running it, and number two, they've asked me in years past to participate as an influencer, as somebody that has a couple of people following me on Facebook and the other social media, as a guy on the radio that is a known running commodity, and have me inspire you, or try to inspire you to do a variety of programs, and you can Google this. The best advice I ever got from my brother when I first started running. Google this, couch to 5K. That's the couch to 5K, and it will take you from where you are right now. If you are a couch potato and you're going, I've never run a 5K before, I haven't run since I was getting punished for something in high school in gym class or something like that, you can go from couch to 5K, and there should be enough time from where we are today and the actual Guam International Marathon in April for you to invest yourself fully in a Couch to 5K program. Now, we'll talk about what's going to be happening in the Guam International Marathon, but we'll also get Desmond Mendel, not Derek, Desmond, and I'll make sure that I take pains to pronounce that correctly, because as you can imagine, you got a couple of Mendels. One of them is the Olympian, and then you've got the other one. So I want to make sure that Des knows that he's welcome in the program. Des and I actually get into frequent conversations about different kinds of training and different kinds of training methods. So if maybe this is going to be your first 5K, or you're going, all right, that Couch to 5K thing, Ray, that actually sounds right up my alley. What else do I need to know, right? What else do I got to do with my diet? What do I got to do about shoes? What do I got to do about this and that? And Des and I are happy to take you through a little bit of that conversation in the next hour of the program. Otherwise, the rest of my day is going to be double-checking some of the numbers that I've got here. There's a story in the Daily Post, new salaries cost lower than previous administrations. And I was looking at this earlier and adding up all of the numbers on one side, that is the Leon Guerrero administration side, and then the numbers on the Calvo administration side. Now, I haven't gotten all the way to the bottom. I haven't added up all the numbers. I did it by department first. I did it by section. So under finance, as an example, Daphne Shimizu, who's in charge of Rev and Tax now, is making the same as John did when he was running the place. Michelle making the same as Marie did, and Ed Byrne making the same as Ed Byrne did, because he spans a couple of the generations here. And then you see Edith Pangolina, Vince Areola as deputy directors making the same thing. And then we've got some other distinctions. There's Les Carlson, who's the director of BBMR, and then an NA under the Calvo administration. And so what is going to happen from that one is naturally the numbers for the Calvo administration are going to be lower than the numbers for the Leon Guerrero administration. And then we start talking about public safety. And the police chiefs, different salary. Sam Brennan over at the Dep Corps, different salary. So when we add up the numbers on public safety, in the new administration, $484,000. In the old administration, $412,000. So I'm trying to get a sense here of what the additional is going to be in this new government, and hoping that they are going to be able to, number one, meet all of these additional, because that's the way it looks, buddy, additional payroll obligations. There's a distinction over at the port here, where in the last administration, the port was making I don't know, maybe, what is this, another $9,000 more than the previous administration? Anyways, but I think there's more people making more money in the port schemes. At any rate, so I'm kind of looking at this, trying to get a sense of, number one, can we meet the payroll obligations, and are we going to be able to bring in enough tax dollars in the Department of Revenue and Taxation to help make all of these salary demands and still keep services going in the government of Guam. Also vitally important. We'll probably have to get to that tomorrow as we're making all these A-B comparisons and assumptions one way or the other. I'll see who I can talk to about that. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. The radio station is KUSG. I got Ray Gibson here in the studio, and I got news coming up, so I'm going to seat my guest in just a little bit. But while I'm doing that, also check and see if there's any more Underwoods chiming in on Mike St. Nicholas's "Oh, woe is me" post. Stick around, Brown. That's all ahead right here on 93.3 The Point.
Ramping up the pressure. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Sanctions placed on Venezuela's state-owned oil company as the U.S. targets dictator Nicolas Maduro.
We have continued to expose the corruption of Maduro and his cronies, and today's action ensures they can no longer loot the assets of the Venezuelan people.
National Security Advisor John Bolton. Bolton says he expects the move will block $7 billion in assets and cause more than $11 billion in lost export proceeds during the next year.
Effective immediately. Any purchases of Venezuelan oil by U.S. entities, money will have to go into blocked accounts.
Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. The U.S. and Venezuela broke off relations last week after the administration recognized opposition leader Juan Guaido as the legitimate president of Venezuela. The Justice Department files charges against a Chinese tech giant, accusing it of stealing trade secrets. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Lisa, Acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker says Huawei Technologies attempted to secretly take U.S. cellular innovations. Whitaker says Huawei engineers hope to build a robot based on a T-Mobile design.
By secretly taking photos of the robot, measuring it, and even stealing it.
Indictments were unsealed in New York and Seattle in the case. Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen called the act
not just illegal,
but detrimental to the security of the United States.
Huawei's chief financial officer is being held in Canada by U.S. request and is expected to be extradited soon, Lisa.
Colonel President Trump has accepted House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's invitation to give his State of the Union address February 5th. The new invite coming after lawmakers and the president agreed to end the government shutdown. The House and Senate now must pass a resolution officially inviting the president to speak. Wall Street stocks closing broadly lower. The Dow lost 208, the Nasdaq off 79. This is Fox News.
At Chili's, our burgers stack up with anyone's. Handcrafted to order, smashed to lock in flavor on a toasted brioche bun. Our burgers are all kinds of perfect. Choose from the Chili's Chili, the Mushroom Swiss, the Ultimate Bacon, or you know what? We dare you to take on the Boss Burger. Loaded with smoked brisket, rib meat, jalapeno cheddar sausage, and bacon. We may have really out-burgered ourselves. Our burgers are more than a handful, served with garlic, dill, pickles, and fries. So hurry in today and enjoy our juicy, melty, yummy, handcrafted creations. Perfection between two buns. Chili's. More life happens here.
Every time I travel, there's something from home that I can't leave without. I take my Docomo Pacific Data to Go to share my stories in Taiwan, check subway routes in Tokyo, be my food guide in Hong Kong, meet new friends in the Philippines, make updates in the States, find my way around Korea, and check out all the cool shows in Singapore. It's the data I have in all the places I love for only $10 a day. Data to Go from Docomo Pacific. Better together.
The U.S. and the Taliban continue peace talks.
According to reports, two key issues were covered in Qatar. The first focused on when U.S. troops will leave Afghanistan, and the second on how the Taliban will prevent other organizations, such as al-Qaeda and ISIS, from using Afghanistan as a base for international terrorism. No new developments have been announced regarding a ceasefire in Afghanistan, but the Afghan government has weighed in on the latest peace developments. On Monday, Afghan President Ashraf Ghani said in a national address that the Taliban has two options: either stand with the people of Afghanistan or be used as a tool by other countries. In Jerusalem, Trey Yangst, Fox News.
Public health officials scrambling to contain a measles outbreak in the Northwest, urging people to vaccinate your children. And they say it could take months to contain the illness due to a lower than normal vaccination rate. Parts of the Midwest dealing with heavy snow and blizzard-like conditions, and the worst not even there yet. Bitter cold headed for the middle of the country.
We're here along the Wisconsin-Illinois state line, still under a winter storm warning. And where, like many areas across the upper Midwest, snowblowers are working overtime from over a foot of snow in some areas. And as we now await the coldest temperatures in recent memory, with wind chills down to 60 below zero into Wednesday. From Minneapolis to Chicago.
We continue to urge residents to help each other out and take all necessary precautions. The snow and extreme cold are not only inconvenient, but also very dangerous.
Chicago Emergency Management's Rich Guidis, the cold expected to shutter schools and businesses across the region in the coming days. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Fewer shark bites were reported worldwide last year. That's the finding of researchers at the University of Florida. According to their international shark attack file, 66 bites were documented compared to 88 in 2017. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
Security Title is honored to sponsor Ray Gibson on The Point. In 2019, we resolved to continue our mission of protecting and ensuring the land and homes of our beautiful island. Additionally, we resolved to maintain our vital connection to our families and our community. Protehi Itanomo, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
This program is being brought to you by my friends over at King's. That's where I get all my training meals and my post-race meals in. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. They've been doing it for decades, and you ought to try it. If you get it, you don't have to be a marathon runner. You just need to be hungry, I think, is the thing for breakfast over at King's. Also being brought to you by my buddies over at Micronesia Renewable Energy. There's never been a better time to go solar. Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your specialty care needs. And the guys at American President Lines, where they are shipping the future.
Are you not getting paid what you're worth? Or not reaching your full potential at your job? If you're pioneering, adventurous, competitive, love talking to people, and want to earn $100,000 per year, sell cars on U.S. military bases with Military Auto Source. Start on Guam, stay on Guam, or move to Japan or Korea. To see if you qualify, visit MASEastAsiaRecruiting.com. Military Auto Source, helping you reach your full potential.
So earlier today, I was talking about all the things that our generation has been ripped off of. When I was a kid, everybody said we'd be living in cities underwater. We'd have colonies on the moon, and we'd be driving around in flying cars. Have we gotten any of that? No. Diddly. But you know what? I don't want to say that this whole time in history is a complete waste of time, because now we have spaghetti at Wendy's. Zesty sauce, seasoned ground beef, right, and then pasta noodles. And we are going to talk about racing, and I will find out from a guy that actually knows a thing or two about racing and training, Desmond Mendel. We're going to find out why pasta and carbing up is such an important feature of a lot of runners' diets. That's all ahead. But if you want to get primed up for it, find a Wendy's at lunchtime. $3.49 for the snack size, $6.49 for the meal size. Spaghetti at Wendy's.
News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-8255.
It's 7 after 9 o'clock in the morning, the Ray Gibson Show, until it's not going to be anymore. Welcome to Excuse the Mess and all of that. And we get into a time in the program. I'm fond of referring to the 9 o'clock hour as the small talk portion of the show, which is kind of a relative deal when we stop and think about it. But it's a place for me to put things that I think are important, that are timely, that are relevant, but might not necessarily be considered, like super hard news. And so in this case, this is an opportunity for me to talk about the United Guam International Marathon. I was an influencer last year, and I really liked it because we had a bunch of open bar parties. Right, so that in and of itself was a reason for me when we started talking about doing it again this year. Absolutely, the answer is yes. But I'm still a little bit fuzzy on the influencer topic. So I got a couple of people in the studio to talk about that and the Guam International Marathon. There's Laura Pagolina, and congratulations on the new job.
Thank you.
So now I know where to find you, and we should have meetings and all of that stuff all the time. And it's also possible that since she is the prettiest one in the studio, I might just leave her on the screen the entire time. Let me just close that thing out.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
Very
you
good
think?
idea, yes.
Okay, so that. Oh, you can do that? Oh my God, she's turning red. 9 after 9. The other voice that you've got is Desmond Mendel, and this is from the great Mendel running. It's a dynasty now, right? Your parents and then you guys growing up?
Yeah, my parents and me and Derek, and hopefully the next gen.
So, well, I know it's because Derek's got the little baby.
Yeah, I got a daughter.
You've got stuck in the strollers and all of that. Yeah. But your daughter's a little bit older than that, right?
Yeah, she's 6. Going on 7. Going on 17.
Yeah, 6 going on 13 is what's going to happen to you. Just personal experience. I know how this works. And anyway, so let me punch through a couple of things that we've got to take care of today. And so the marathon itself is going to be on April the 14th. Yeah. So keep that date handy. Between here and there, though, there are a number of opportunities for us to entice you to sign up as early as you can. And in this case, we've got one of those deadlines coming up this Thursday?
It's this Thursday, January 31st.
Okay, and what happens then?
So after the 31st, the rates will go up, and if you register before the 31st, you'll get a chance to personalize your race bib.
Okay, that's the thing I'm really excited about. First of all, we'll get you in at a lower price if you sign up before the 31st. In fact, right now, while we're talking about this, on your computer, on your phone, where should we go?
www.unitedguammarathon.com, or you can download the free mobile app. It's free on the Apple App Store or Google Play.
So just look for United Guam Marathon on the App Store or Facebook? Or the App Store or Apple Play or whatever it is that they call it. Wherever your store is. Just look for United Guam International Marathon and something will pop up. Just download that. I want to say, if I downloaded it last year, is it still good?
It's still good.
Okay, so it's basically the same software, which will help me out here because it already has the United Guam International, hashtag United Guam International Marathon in it. You'll want to take advantage of all of the different features of the app because it's more fun to use the more you interact with it. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Now, the thing about the bibs, though, we can personalize the bib.
Yes, so this year, what's new for 2019 is that you can personalize your race bib.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 10-character limit. But you can put anything. You put your name. You can put something fun like superstar or
They
winner.
misspelled. Did you notice they misspelled Desmond? They spelled it D-E-R-E-K. Did you catch that?
No, they spelled it chick magnet, which I thought was actually pretty accurate.
No, wait a second. So mine's already done, right? So that's but a wonderful suggestion, and it was nice that you used some of the ambassadors and other influences there. I saw Manami, I saw Leo, and so that's really cool. So 10 characters, you put them in there. Can I use naughty words?
No.
What about tomorrow naughty words?
We ask people not to be vulgar on it, but you can be fun with it.
No, I think there's some words in tomorrow that aren't fun to use. How about if I'll submit it and hope that now when I submit it, are there going to be people from here that will be looking them over?
Yes, so it does go through.
There wasn't before,
You're
but
flagged.
thanks for bringing it up. Anything that comes out of the Gibson application has to be reviewed for clarity, and cleanliness. So you can get that done. Is there an additional charge for that?
No, so there's no additional charge as long as you register before January 31st.
All right, so get that done. Today is already 29, so start working on that right now. And the fees to get in now, if you do it today, 5K is $40 for residents, 10K is $50, the half marathon is $75, and the marathon is $85. And you're going to go, wow, that costs a lot of money. Compare this to other incredible destination races, and I think you're going to find that these rates here are going to be comparable for that, for everything that you're going to be getting. We'll talk about some of those things, but one of the ways I think what we might need to do now is just kind of influence people to start thinking about running. And earlier in the last hour, I was talking about go on the web and just Google couch to 5K. And there's a couple of different training programs that you can get you literally off the couch as a full-fledged couch potato and have you running your first 5K in time for the Guam International Marathon Fiesta of races, right? So that's my advice. And you're a trainer. You work with young people constantly. This is let me back up. One of my favorite things about hanging out with Des is. Before the races, he will take some of the students that he works with, and they will do warm-ups. They'll do drills to warm up, and I'll kind of stand over on the side and try to mimic what they're doing because they're really good stretches and really good drills that all runners should be doing, right?
Yeah. So we do a full warm-up, full stretching. By all means, join us next time.
I think I will. Yeah. I don't know, just that creepy old guy, right?
Yeah. No.
So I'm not so sure that's because the high school kids that you're working with.
Yes.
Where are you training full-time?
So now it's St. John's. I'm coaching St. John's now. So it was Ukadu for about 7 years or so. Now I'm coaching St. John's.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How fulfilling is that working with young people? And we got so many new names coming up from the running crews.
It really is. I mean, it's especially you see some kids that you're saying couch to 5K. I had some kids that came in their first race was a 30-minute, and that was after a couple weeks of training.
Yeah.
And now the kid's running, a 42-minute 10K, a 19-minute 5K or 18-minute 5K. I mean, it's crazy.
The numbers start coming. Well, they're small and flexible. They're not like us. We're old and wiry, right? It takes a second to get that warm up.
There is that aspect, but and I think at the end of the day, with training and anything, is consistency. So I'm sure in that. That thing online is going to say do whatever and
right. That might be a 5-day-a-week plan. It might not be one of those things where you're just a couple of days during the week and then you run a 5K to get yourself ready for whatever your target 5K is going to be. It might be one of those things because when I started, I was literally running 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I knew I needed to get the weight down. I knew I needed to be more consistent, and I figured that the times would follow. But I needed to get out there and punch through the work.
Exactly, Derek. One of his secrets, especially when he's talking with the team, is like the secret to getting faster is to run more.
Yeah.
Run more. And we actually have a shirt with Run Guam that says run more. Because at the end of the day, then you can get specific on the training plans, whatever. But if you're not running, you're not going to get faster.
So, as somebody that's in the training gig here and find a plan and start working with it. But even there, there's getting started can be kind of daunting because the first thing that you're going to want to wonder about is what should I wear? And the answer is whatever they're selling at Run Guam this week is what you wear.
Yes.
Where's that? Right across PIC in Tuma next to the coffee place?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So go find them down there. Whatever it is that they recommend, then go ahead and buy that. And if they're closed, or if you're traveling soon, this is another thing. Find a Lululemon store. A Lululemon store. That's what you're going to want to do because that's what all of the girls are wearing. All 5Ks, 10Ks, whatever. Every race is really a fashion show for the ladies, and none of the guys mind at all.
I'll plead the fifth on that.
Okay. Now, but what about something like shoes? I mean, there's a bunch of different places where you can buy shoes, and a bunch of different reasons to buy shoes. So, what kind of advice you give for somebody who's just starting out?
You know, shoes is really tricky. People take it for granted. They just say, "Oh, this is the nicest one. This is the most popular one." And unfortunately, on Guam, there's not the options. But in the States, if you are traveling, if you go to like Roadrunner Sports, they can do a shoe assessment.
Yeah.
They'll film you running. They'll see how you plant your foot. It's like with me, I overpronate, which means I land on the inner part of my foot. So I need extra cushion or extra structure on that inner part just to help prevent injury. Because if I'm landing continually in the inner part,
You'll
it can
pull
hurt
the
my
muscle
knees.
out. No,
Oh, yeah,
I did that.
ankles,
I was off the road for 8 months because that's exactly the injury that I got. I was overpronating, and I had to kind of retrain myself so that I was running as flat as possible, and in fact run with unstructured flats most of the time. But that's just me, and I know the limit of those flats. So I've got shoes for short runs, and I've got shoes for long runs, and I've got shoes for different terrain that we're running on.
Yeah, and if you have the luxury of having multiple shoes, that's great, and some don't. So that's where I think sometimes maybe it is just talking to somebody that's familiar with what type of shoes you should be getting and going from there, or just knowing that if you have to choose, a racing flat is not going to get your miles, it's not going to have as much structure or whatever, so you might cause
anything
injuries.
more than about 6 miles. Yeah, I feel it the next day.
Exactly. So you might need to get a trainer, which might be a little heavier, but it's safer.
Well, there's a bunch of shoes out there, and I want to ask you, because we'll see a lot of this as we get closer to the actual marathon, and you're able to start seeing more people train and what shoes they're training in, which are going to be the shoes that they run in, and we're starting to see a whole lot more of, for lack of a better word, poofy shoes. There's a lot of cushioning in there, and that seems to be a trend, born by the Hokas from a few years ago. And now every major manufacturer now has a poofy shoe line.
Yeah, and especially the Nikes, the Vaporfly 4%, and some of their other
so
racers.
Okay, so you said 4%. Yeah. So what is it that I'm supposed to be 4% faster with these?
That's what they claim. That's the claim, and there's some math to back it up.
Yeah.
So there's actually some discussions of whether or not they should make the shoes illegal. To be honest.
Oh right, yeah, bigger sweet spot, like a tennis racket.
And it's there's like a reaction effect on. There's a carbon fiber plate in the inside that adds some extra push. That they're saying is that becoming too mechanical and whatnot. So there's a huge discussion, but a lot of the times you're seeing in the marathon are just dropping like crazy, and a lot of people are saying it's that shoe.
It's because of the shoe that's doing it. Now is that I don't know, like running on one of those blades, you get the guys with legs cut off?
And I think that's what the conversation is becoming. Is it too much?
Too spring.
Yeah,
there's too much spring.
And I wore it on the Kick the Fat for the first time, and I'll tell you, it was nice.
You got a pair?
Really nice. I do got a pair. Yeah. So I just been using it casually to break it in a little bit. My first race was to Kick the Fat, and you could feel it. I mean,
so what about diet? How important is diet for runners?
So to be honest, I'm probably the worst person to ask about that.
No, I am.
Yeah, well, I'm on the, I run so I can eat. And I know it's wrong, and I know it's bad, and I know there's fitness people that are saying, what is he saying? But I mean, it's the truth. And to me, I run because I know I can reward myself with something that I shouldn't probably eat, but if I didn't run, it's going to be really bad.
Well, I mean, a hamburger and a cold beer every once in a while isn't going to kill you. It's not like you have to lock yourself into some kind of vegan carb diet all the time.
Exactly. But I know that some that are really there's no question that what you fuel your body with is going to affect performance. So that's why there's great places like, I know Boca Box is one of the nutritional companies.
Did we find a way to integrate a sponsor? Oh my God, that's amazing! Yeah. I wasn't even trying. Let's work on some more of that.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, I know, and there are some, and the nutritionist would get you on what type of, you gotta have your carbs, especially if you're training for a marathon. But you gotta have your proteins and whatnot. You gotta make sure your iron's up so you don't have iron deficiency, so on and so forth. So, I mean, there are people out there that's what they went to school for. That's what their job is. And, like I said, Boca Box is one of the sponsors, so it'd be great to go talk with them. So.
Now, what about other exercises? With running, build in obviously some time to get on either a track or on the road, or find some place to go and do some exercise. Teeds and Radio Barragata, great places to go and get some cool drills, or just jog in. But there's another part of me that says, okay, maybe I'm not doing enough. Now, I got some things that I do at the house that I could do at a gym as well, and we've got a couple of gyms that are helping out with some of the training. But what about CrossFit? What about some other workouts? I mean, should I be trying to bulk up? Should I be trying to trim down? Should I be doing core exercise? What's your secret?
Well, Again, to slide in, there are a couple gyms that I know Unified has a training program.
No, I'm in it.
Oh, you're in it. So
Yeah,
there you go.
Today
So,
we're doing Yassos.
okay, yeah. So I'm not sure what that is, but it sounds fun.
Yasso, oh, you don't know the Yasso 800s? Okay, so the Yasso, you try to run, you're trying to run at interval pace, right? Which is your target minus, I don't know, I think he's got me minus 30 seconds. So I'm supposed to run 800 meters in like 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay.
So that's twice around a track.
That's awesome.
I don't know if I can do it.
Oh, you can do it. I mean,
I got to do it like 6 times. Yeah.
Good workout.
Gonna vomit at the end.
Yeah,
But
I
anyway.
like that they name it though. I mean, to me,
It's named after the guy that did the research on it, the Yasso 800. Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, so I mean, sometimes when you name things, it becomes like like, oh, I got looking forward to this Yasso.
But I mean, like, so at Unified though, there's a lot of CrossFit exercises, weight training exercises, things like that. I mean, should I be participating in another weight training or another bodybuilding thing?
There's no question that strength training at least a couple times a week will help performance. But it comes down to what event you're doing. So if you're doing the marathon, you're not trying to bulk up, but getting some strength training in between and whatnot would definitely help. It helps with stabilizers and
I'm trying to do an informed interview here because Fred Schumann's actually online and listening.
He's the man,
right?
He's the man,
right? I mean,
yes.
put the theory into action. The guy knows everything. He's been pounding the roadways for.
Yes.
But I think
he's a legend.
Absolutely.
It really is.
So one of the things that I think Fred has gotten into that I think all runners need to get into, and this is a destination race. I mean, it's many things, but it is the United Guam International Marathon, and the idea is that we're going to throw a running party here on Guam, and another 15,000 of our closest friends from Hong Kong and Korea and China and all kinds of other places, Japan, are going to come and race with us, right?
Yes, so we do have international runners coming to Guam, and what's great is that we have the post-race beach party after. So after they cross the finish line, they can enjoy like the Tumon Bay dip. They have cultural dances, entertainment.
Last year, and I want to say it was something that, if not last year, the year before, they pioneered. It was basically finish the run, grab your loot, and keep going into the ocean and cool off there. So they had everything literally within just a few steps of Ipao Beach, so that you could go and cool off and sit down and put your toes into some decent water, and that was a good time. The sun was out as well. So God, that was a great morning. I remember the half marathon because I ran the half last year, and my goal was to get in just before the sun came up, and so I did the last kilometer. The sun was just breaking over the horizon, but it was still kind of raining, and it's like the best time to cross the finish line was right there.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
well, they got some photos.
Well, there's photos and there's memories and things like that. We're gonna have people on the course taking pictures, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then you can either buy those or deal with a photo that says sample and all the way emblazoned across it. So let me just take a quick look and make sure that we've covered everything. There's 4 different races: 5K, 10K, half marathon, and we've got the full marathon. And so is each race is going to be just a portion of the full marathon, right? So 5K is going to be out and then back, and then a 10K is going to be a different out and back, and then the full marathon is we're going all the way down to Big Navy and back, right?
She has the
there's the course map. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to try to describe this as best as I possibly can. We're going to leave Tumon and then head south, and you're all going, oh, that's nice. South is kind of downhill, and you got the wind at your back. And then we pull into the port area for a little bit, and then come back out, run down all the way to Sumai Pub and Grill, basically the Infusion, and turn around, and then it's a straight shot, the home run back to Ipao Beach, and all the festivities that are going to take place there, and not much of an elevation gain or loss. You're going to have to climb out of Tumon, and then
you say that, but when you're running, you feel everything. You get like a 1% increase, and you're like, "What is this hill? This is."
So you've got a little bit of a hill coming out up JFK and then down to Record Drive, and you're going to feel good, and you're going to fly down. You're going to be look at me, start my marathon, and then you're going to make that turnaround, and you're going to get to about you're going to come back up to about where Pizza Hut is, and you will feel gravity, and it won't be your friend.
I mean, when you're driving that, you don't feel the incline at all. I mean, hardly at all. But when you're running it, you feel.
So, Coach, how do I train for that?
Well, you can do hill intervals and whatnot.
Again, I'm gonna vomit.
Yeah.
What's the easy way? There's no easy way.
There's no easy. I mean, again, it depends on what your goal is. So if you want to perform well, you're gonna have to do the work.
Yeah.
If you just want to finish, you still got to do enough to finish.
Yeah.
But,
And just up the hill, make that turnover by Kmart, and then stroll down. But there's even just a tiny bit of a bump before you get back to where Ipao Beach is. Just a tiny bit of all of that. And so we sign up online at UnitedGuamMarathon.com on the World Wide Web. There's a free app that you can get, and for the registration fee, you get a medal when you're done, a T-shirt when you're done, the mat when you're done, so you can sit on the beach, a towel because you're going to be wet and sweaty, and a souvenir booklet. And usually there's some coupons and stuff from among the sponsors. Do we have any of those names right now?
So we're going to be having Eat Shop Run again, and we will announce that on
Eat
social
Shop
media.
Run.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's different discounts that we provide to registered runners 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after the race.
Yeah, so if you can carb up, but you don't have to carb up the night before. You can carb up pretty much any time around that marathon, even afterwards.
Yes.
Absolutely perfect. And is that another kind of app?
No, so we'll post it on our social media pages. It'll also be online on our website, and you can also find it on our app.
So we've got the race bibs, and then this is the big draw. Is it like a raffle?
Yes, so it's kind of like a raffle. So each resident registered runner will be automatically entered into the UGM Big Draw. We're giving away up to $25,000 worth of prizes donated by sponsors. We have amazing prizes like a $500 gas card.
Yeah, you got me right there. You don't need to tell me anything else. A $500 gas card is enough of an incentive for me to sign up. And so sign up and you're automatically entered, right?
And the drawing will be at the Hoffa Expo where runners can pick up their packet.
You know why we're doing this? Because not everybody is Rhea Macaluso and Derek Mindell. And we want to make sure that everybody comes away with something or a shot at something, because those guys are always winning the off-island trips and all of that stuff.
Selfish.
says the brother. And if you want to stay up on everything with there's social medias. There's the Facebook at United Guam Marathon. There's an Instagram page and all of that stuff. And as you're training, chronicle this stuff. It's important that you chronicle. Now, I don't run with a phone, but I know people that do, and I insist that, Johnny, you take a picture of me at every 5K that he runs, and then later on he posts them, and I grab them online and then add them to my pages, and I can use those as images for hashtag United Guam International Marathon, and then post those up into the social medias, and then it should also show up on the app, right?
Yes, so we have the social wall on the app. We ask people to tag us. We love seeing your pictures. Hashtag Run in Paradise, hashtag UGM Training, and then it will show up on our social media wall on our app.
Okay, and you can also sign up for different little coaching blurbs. I know Christina Ingvarsan has got hers that are out there. I've seen a few of those online, and I have not yet seen the ones from Manami, the nutrition tips from the very, very small Manami.
So that's the one that we just started. We just partnered with BocaBox and Manami. So
I see.
Manami works with BocaBox, and then they provide us nutrition tips, and we post it on our social media, and they post it on theirs as well.
Oh, I didn't know she had a job. I thought all she did was do triathlons and travel. Really, she works for a living?
I think she partners with BocaBox.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But what do you? That's an interesting wrinkle that we've got more professional kind of athletes that are out there. I mean, there are people that are so good at what they do, they can get sponsorships.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's always nice that the local companies are able to support that, and and speaking of local companies, we're actually, it's not on that list there, but and I'm part of the reason why I'm here is Run Guam. We're actually partnering with UGM, and we're going to be doing the official merchandise for the whole thing. So the singlets, shirts, and stuff that you buy at the expo. Yeah, so we're going to be partnering and we're going to be the official merchandise.
Can I put in a special order?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, because I want leggings. Do we have leggings? Are we doing?
Because
you just do girl. I mean, most of the time it's only girls that wear leggings, but I like to wear leggings as well with a little bit of compression.
We've got a lot of requests for that. Probably not for this one here because we want to make sure that it's the the stuff that we can really because it's the race, so it has the logo and all that. So we want to make sure that we do it right. So for the men's, we're looking at it for the future, but for this race, we're gonna have the singlets, the shirts, hats. We're gonna have some of our socks.
I love the 10K singlet I got in the race last time. So, so one of the distinctions, one of the reasons why I want you shopping at Run Guam is number one, the clothes will make you run faster.
Here's my thought of that, because I really do believe that.
It's truth in advertising.
I do believe that.
Truth in advertising. Come on, Gib.
But when you get like you said, the Lululemon, or if you get a Run Guam singlet, you want to wear it, right?
Yeah.
And you're not going to necessarily wear it to the movie, So when I get one, even though sure I own the company or whatever, but when I get it, I want to go out there and run in it. So it forces me, it gets that one run in. It does, and we do see a lot of the newest singlets at the most recent 5K. So again, if we're forcing allowing somebody to wear there and get one extra run in, then it's making you faster.
Then it helps. Then it helps.
But then if you own 7, then you can run 7 days a week. So it's perfect.
As you should, I think. Now, the last thing on this is one of the reasons why I like the clothes that come out of Run Guam is generally designed by people from here, total marketed from the ground up. It's a Guam thing.
It's all Derek. Derek designs it. I mean, he's he does everything, runs fast.
Well, what does Sherwin do then?
That's a good question. Let's ask him. Where's Sherwin? he is very well. He knows a lot of people that
So there's a success story here, and one of them is that you get a bunch of guys, runners and athletes, and they've got obviously a lot in common, and decided that they were going to find a way to put capital at risk and take some of these designs. And they started off with just simple designs, real modest stuff that was coming out there, and everybody decided, well, we like this, but it was the designs, it was the fit of the clothes that you were wearing. And I think the prices and then the availability is you guys started as a pop-up.
Yes, I mean literally, like Sherwin was saying, he would sell it out of his trunk. So he would bring stuff at a 5K, say, "Hey, bring me a couple singlets." He'd have it in his trunk.
Yes,
at the 5K, they meet him, they give it, get the cash.
It's like rappers; they sell their cassettes right out of the trunk of the car,
mixtapes or whatever. Yeah, so I mean that's how we started, and really what it started as, we were just runners that wanted stuff that we would wear. And we made just let's try it 100 or whatever, and they sold out online in 2 hours, and probably in about 2 hours, or maybe no, like 30 or 40 minutes on site at the Hoffa Marathon, and it just kind of went from there. But yeah, it's all local. I mean, we're local designs and all of that, and it's all designed by our all the fits are made by us because we adjusted continually. So some people say, "Oh, it's too tight." Well, we're adjusting that again. Because first they said it was too loose. So we're it's all organic, and we're making sure that it's what people want.
Just a singlet I got from the 10K. I tried it on, and I really, really liked it because it has there's a wave at the bottom of it, so it looks almost like a shirt that you want to tuck in. Yeah. So there's somebody that put that in there, and I appreciated that. But I also appreciate the idea that you can get different colors, inks, and pigments on them without suffocating the runner.
Yes, exactly. So you don't have the screen print, so it's not getting heavy or hot or whatever. So yes, the print is part of the material, it's dyed into the material. So yeah, I mean, again, it's stuff that we want to run in that makes us comfortable, and again, we're excited to actually partner with UGM this time officially and be the official merchandise.
Well, I'm glad you guys came in this morning. So, here's the takeaway, guys. The prices are going to be going up on the 1st of February. You've got
January 31st.
Not at midnight, January 31st. So what time?
Oh, sorry, yes.
So at midnight on the 31st, the prices are going to go up. So effectively, it will be February 1st at midnight. First thing in the morning, the prices are going to be going up. So get in there now and sign up now, and then take a look and see what you can put down in there as your clever personalized running name on the bib. And a piece of advice that I need to pass along from last weekend's race is if you get a bib, that's your bib. That's your bib. Don't share it with anybody. They put their name down on it for a reason. They gave it to you in the bag for a reason.
Run the right race.
If you swap it with somebody, it's going to screw everybody up. So don't do that. Hold on to those bibs and protect them with your lives. We got to everything, right?
Yes.
All right. Yes, because we're that good. 9:34 in the morning. Desmond, always great to see you. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, I love it.
And thank you for coming by. I haven't seen you in forever. I'm glad that you got a new gig over at the place. Laura Pangilinan is over at RIM. So if you want to know more about this, or if you want to get the same kind of love as Run Guam and Boca Box and Unified, then get a hold of her, and she will integrate your business, your company, your service with the United Guam International Marathon.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Always glad to help. It's 9:34, and that's iConnect time. Swing by the nearest iConnect and learn about the great packages, the great prices that they've got for your telecommunications needs in 2019 and beyond. They're that good. Call them 888-8888.
Cheers to 80 years. It's our 80th anniversary and the gifts are on us. 80 gift certificates, 8 shopping sprees, 8 staycations, and 1 round-trip flyaway for 2 to Manila. So how do you enter? Calvo's Insurance personal home and auto customers are automatically entered. Non-Calvo's customers may enter by receiving a qualified quote. It's our way of saying thank you for trusting us for the past 80 years. For more details, visit calvos.com/giveaway or call 472-6816. Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years.
6 in the morning. Always nice to have running buddies in the studio, and finally getting to a point where I might be able to keep up with Desmond. I've given up on the idea of keeping up with his brother. That's a fact. In 4 minutes or something like that, it's going to be 10 o'clock in the morning, and then we go into our Tuesday morning here on 93.3 The Point. Brian Kilmeade or somebody that sounds like him is going to be on the air talking about I don't know their version of political gossip coming out of the U.S. mainland. I'm trying to think if there's I have not paid any attention to the major headline news today on Fox. Frankly, I've been more entertained by keeping up with some of the interesting stories that are floating around about here with some of the things that we have had on our table of contents. I'll go through them. Mike Nicholas seems to be in the midst of his first major controversy as congressman. 16 years I've been referring to the position of congresswoman. It's bound to happen at some point. You know, like the first time I said K57 on the radio or gave that phone number. Right? No, I'm just playing around. Anyway, so it seems to be embroiled in the first major controversy of his term as congressman representative from Guam. It has to do with the fact that there's apparently no phone number and no office place for the guy just yet. And he's now saying on the social medias, look, I was hoping to get some kind of help and assistance from other people that have had the job before, but no, they slammed the door in my face. There it is. There it is. I won. And I said I wasn't going to talk to the media because I wanted Madeline to have her victory lap. And then I went to her. I said, could you help me out with the transition? Can you help me through with this? And then I found out that she was talking to other people in Congress saying, don't listen to Mike. Only listen to me. He's a noob. Don't listen to Mike. And then I asked for other help from Raymond's Uncle Robert. And he said, no, he didn't help me. And so now I'm flailing about. I don't know. So normally, you know what normally I do is I'd go and find my Uncle Robert and say, Uncle Robert, tell me how I'm supposed to think about this. But I don't need to do that anymore because Uncle Robert has said on Facebook this morning, he's already made reference to Mike Nicholas and the problems that Mikey has and says, stop being childish and being a victim. There, Mike Nicholas, that ain't helping you, and it ain't going to be helping us around here. Congresswoman Madeline Berdallo in the news, basically telling him last night, was it last night in the news, a Chris Barnett story? You need to work on this immediately. You need to find out. You need to be able to make contact with people. So is this going to be the big deal? Is this going to be the albatross around the neck of Mike Nicholas over the next 2 years? Is what is happening right now going to be the reason why Madeline Berdallo is going to be the congressman and congresswoman again in 2 years?
Not if he gets a good media person and gets on top of this situation.
There is that. Got to have that conversation with Jennifer and get Jennifer out there and doing the dog and pony show with all the different medias and all of the people that seem to have issues and say, yeah, you know what? There might be a problem right now with no district office that has been set up. There might be a problem the fact that there's no other way to get a hold of him via telephone. But as I pointed out a couple of times, you can call. I mean, if you need to face, all right, that's a problem. But I mean, it's going to be a problem anyway if he's in D.C. and you're here. So you want that interaction. They're on Facebook. Jennifer Wynn is on Facebook.
Right.
Sahara Defensor, the lawyer, is on Facebook. You can go on Facebook and find Sahara and say, I've got a legal question that maybe somebody in the office might be able to handle. And Michael Nicholas himself is on Facebook. And near as I can tell, I've never had a problem. I've never sent him a note on Facebook that he has not responded to. There have been times where you've tried to reach out to him to get him as a phone-in guest on the program where he's been less than accessible for whatever reason.
I think many of the complaints that we're hearing now actually go back into his time as a congressman, a congressman here, a legislator, when no one could get a hold of him about anything. I mean, you call him on the phone, it just goes to voicemail. if he feels like you're worthy of his attention, then he'll contact you back.
But
That's the impression
your experience
I got.
with the telephone. What I'm saying is that Mike has never given me a hard time about responding. And maybe the difference is you're Michael Knight, I'm Ray Gibson. I don't know.
Could very well be
that could be it. Or there have been times where we've had what I like to refer to as the beer summits. Now it's a whole different game and a whole different way to play that game. And I don't know to what degree Congress itself helps you with the setup. I know that they give you a primer because I've got a copy of it, a book about how to be a good congressman.
Yeah, I get the impression that Mr. San Nicolas likes to control that interaction with the media. He likes it to be tightly controlled, where he only gets out the things that he wants to say and the way that he wants to say them. And he doesn't want to answer a whole lot of questions. He doesn't want to be put on the spot like that. And I mean, I guess that's his prerogative. I guess that's fine.
Okay, let me give you. Let me tell you the same thing. There was a guy who was in the legislature, and he wanted to be the lieutenant governor. I think at the end of the day, he wanted to be the governor. But he was one of these guys that would the reporter would come up and ask him a question, and he would shoot from the hip. Just like that. Wow. And
the other wrong way to do
easy 50, 75% of the time, he'd step in a puddle somewhere. And he asked me, we're talking in confidence one day, he says, what do you think I'm doing wrong? I said, don't shoot from the hip anymore. Listen, the journalist has a job, and the journalist's job is to ask you a question and get an answer. And maybe if it's a good enough answer, if it's a fun enough answer, if it is a provocative enough answer, we get more advertising, we get more sales of the newspaper, the magazine, or the flyer, or whatever it is that we're doing. More clicks on the World Wide Web, which is the new currency for the media these days. And I said, that's their job. Your job is to get reelected and serve the people, and you can't necessarily do that if you're firing off all these provocative statements to the guy. He said, well, what do I do? I said, that's an interesting question. Can you email that to me? Because I'm on my way. I got a caucus meeting. The politician, you're always on your way somewhere, or you should be. Right? Listen, I can't talk to you right now. I'd love to answer the question. I've got a great answer. I can't talk to you right now. Just email it to me, and I promise you I'll email you back before your deadline today in plenty of time. And the idea behind that is, number one, you might not have the right answer at first. And number two, it gives you the time to come up with a response that makes sense. That won't be as provocative and as a lightning rod for response. I mean, in this day and age where it's the package, right? It's the form over substance, right? You got the guy. You want him to always have the right answer. So smart money is just hold off on the answer. You don't need to do the journalist job for them. You need to do your own job. And so if you've got, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes, I'll be in the office in 5 minutes. Send me a WhatsApp and I'll bounce you an answer right back. I just need to get over there because I don't have my phone. Just come up with some. Am I suggesting they lied to the journalist? Yeah, I guess I am. I suppose.
Not necessarily. It's like any other important decision or important
yourself.
Conversation. That's what I'm saying. It's best to give it a moment, think about what you're going to say, and then go ahead and say that. But don't hide from the media.
Yeah. Because trust me, and the other thing, and I know this from being able to observe it in real time, doing this program here, is I get into an interview situation with somebody and ask them a couple of questions, and if they don't have an answer, trust me, if they don't have an answer right then and there, that is interpreted on the air as being a deer in the headlights moment for these guys. They might be distracted. Their phone might have just gone off on the other side, but if they don't answer my question about how come we're not doing enough to collect revenues from bingo parlors or cockfights, and I get one of these, wow. People respond to that and they remember that. So those are moments I think many of these people are trying to avoid.
We've had a couple of those on this show.
We have had a couple of those. Yeah, boy, those are so much fun. I kind of reach for those. And again, that's my job. That's my job to get. Your job is shareholder value. Make the governor continue to look good. 6:40, 6:45, 9:45 in the morning. And a question earlier from Eddie when we were talking about stuff. He says, Ray, what did you think about the quick response on repairing the DPW traffic light? Fast, he says. I honestly have to agree. That happened pretty quick. And you were within steps, and I think you were the first guy to put the camera out. And I could. See, I forgot I was going to be talking about this. Otherwise, I should have taken some of that imagery and thrown it out to on the WhatsApp here. But it was just I was talking to Shelley, wanted to drop some stuff off to me. She's out in the front, and I just leaned in. We were just talking about some stuff, and all of a sudden, crash! And I hear this noise, and it was big crash. So I knew it was a big vehicle. And sure enough, it was one of these 40-foot flatbeds, and on the back of this 40-foot flatbed was an excavator. I was going to call it a heavy equipment because I don't know about.
I thought it was a
backhoe.
I don't know.
I don't know what different heavy equipment. I heard somebody call it an excavator. So I'm living through life vicariously through them, and there it is. There's almost the immediate aftermath of this. Let me see if I can stick this up on the internet portion of the Facebook Live.
That's like moments after it happened.
It was exactly moments after everything, and you take a look at it. There is the excavator or the backhoe or whatever it is down over there. The guy in the orange shirt was in the cab. I don't know if he was driving because there was an Ngoko, because it's Ngoko Trucking. So there's one of those guys in the front of it as well. And let me see if I can go over and move this to a part where you can see the damage that it did to the light fixtures. And there are 1, 2, 3 light fixture arms that I can see, but I don't think you can just yet. There it is. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
So there are 1, 2, 3 light fixture arms. The 2 in the middle lost all of the equipment. The one on the side, it was dangling. It's dangling out there.
Good thing there wasn't a strong breeze, or it would have not dangled there long.
Yeah. I was thinking about that, but it's that one good wire. It's a testimony to the installation. It took a truck to bring that thing down. Right? We've seen those things sway in the typhoons and the big winds, but it took a big truck going through there to knock those things down. But in terms of the speed with which the guys were able to put things back together, I didn't notice the difference this morning when I drove in. I did not notice the difference that there were new lights. Because in my mind, it hadn't registered to me while I was driving that the lights were down. I should check. Right. And I guess according to you, they've got another set of lights up there.
Oh yeah, everything's done. As a matter of fact, when I got out of my car, that's when I actually thought about it. And then I turned around and looked, and I was like, "Wow, they fixed it."
So
nice.
You know what I think is the reason why I wasn't so sure. Is because this is I'm a shiny guy, right? So something distracted me. You know what it was? It was the fact that you beat me to work this morning. It was the fact Michael Knight beat me to work this morning, and I pull into the drive and I said, "What's this car doing there?" And I completely forgot to look at the light fixtures to see if they'd made those changes. So Eddie, you are absolutely right. Your powers of observation, as usual, are dead on. And yes, there needs to be some kind of kudos for somebody over at Highways at DPW, because they were able to see a problem, identify the resources to replace them, and install them within 24 hours. Now this, and this is why it's amazing, is because there's so much other crap around here. We've got all of these places where, some drunk or some lousy driver in the middle of the night has made their way through some kind of median or up over a fence along the side of the roadway, and it's still like that years later. We've got all these places where we've got these, what do they call them, as barricades on the side of the road, where somebody has perforated them and rendered them useless and now even more unsafe than it was before. But it's not like anybody's going out there and replacing some of these barriers, these barricades that we've got out there. So when they went to work on that, bang, right now, yes, kind of miraculous.
Well, it was in their front yard.
Hard to miss
Just
that
saying,
one.
Yeah,
It's hard to. We got to do something. It's there.
Plus, they had a police car sitting out here in the middle of the road when we left.
Yeah,
I'm sure he didn't get to leave until they fixed it.
That was an unhappy cop.
He was, yeah.
He was. This guy was being surly, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. I want people to be afraid of the police officers, especially if they've been called to stand out in the rain directing traffic because somebody knocked the lights down. And there was a car. Boy, I heard this guy. He just hauled it. It wasn't a blue streak. It was just, you could tell he was mad. Mm-hmm. There was this his car on the outside lane that was, I think he was following the light on the southbound lane, which was still up. I don't think it went into blink mode, right? So I think it was still working, and he saw it was green, so he wanted to keep going. But the police officer had stopped traffic in the southbound lanes, and the police, I swear he was going to pull the gun out. Just fire off a warning shot. Just fire off into the air. I said, stop. I said, hey. I said, stop.
He was directing traffic with authority.
Ah, it would have been great. That would have been something, right, with the shotgun? That is the season. Hey, only 330 days until Christmas. 9:51 in the morning, 888-255-888-TALK is the telephone number. Let me, before we go into the break, just make sure I've cleared away all of the stuff that I wanted to talk about on the table of contents today. We talked about Lourdes the turtle. Speaking of Lou, Governor Lou Leon Guerrero tomorrow, yes, Wednesday, chamber meeting.
Oh,
she's going to get a chance now to finally sit down with members of the business community as the governor of Guam.
Are you going to be there? Well, if you are, I was going to say
if I'm
talk to her about Friday, because
you think
her people won't get back with my people.
Right.
So
well, this remind me, and I'll bug Tony about that. But it's the first chance I think that she's going to get to officially sit down with the chamber. What will be interesting is fielding any Q&A from among members of the chamber. Because I might go if for no other reason than to hear that because this is the thing. We've got so many people that at the end of last year, the beginning of this year, were making predictions about what things were going to be like for Guam, including Dr. Claire Ruane over at the University of Guam, who says, this is going to be one of those years where staying where you are is going to be a good thing. Not predicting a whole lot of growth, maybe even negative growth, depending on what happens with more tax cuts from Washington, D.C., depending on what happens with the military buildup, access to construction, and we've already seen access to construction get curtailed over the years, maybe even worse with this ban on H-2Bs, which we're not going to be able to get to because we're too busy trying to figure out whether people can get a hold of Mike St. Nicholas on the phone. As opposed to send him a thing and say, Mike, we need to sit down and talk about what our reaction is going to be to the Department of Homeland Security. At any rate, so it will be interesting to hear if anybody at the chamber gets up and says, okay, Lou, what are we going to do to try to bring some positive growth to the economy here on Guam? What is it that your administration is going to be doing? Never mind what you told us while you were running for office. Never mind all of the promises that you made while you were on the campaign trail. You're in the chair now, and you've got 4 weeks since inauguration and a lot of time on the transition bump through there. So after all of this time, what are your findings and what are your near-term goals for the economy here? How are we going to keep moving forward in a positive direction? And maybe they will ask questions like that. I was going to talk about ugly water this week, but that's a weather thing, and we know that there's a couple of high-risk advisories and what is it? High risk of rip currents and a high surf advisory along the north side. That's all you need to know about that. Stay out of the water anywhere north of the Micronesia Mall, and you ought to be safe if you know what you're doing. And I wasn't able to we'll see if I can line up something. Well, actually, she would be good for Friday as well. Is Esther Agagi, the new adjutant general for the. In fact, I might send her a thing and ask her if she can swing by in the program. But it'd be great to have her in the studio because it is so refreshing. Number one, that there's a woman in there, and number two is that somebody's got some great experience. I want to learn a little bit more about that and some of the things that she had to get through as a woman in the Guard and in the military. 9:54. Let me take a quick break. I'll be right back.
Do you know someone who has difficulty following conversation in noisy places or turns up the TV a little too loud? These may be signs of a hearing loss. Ross Hearing Aids specializes in hearing evaluations, custom-fit hearing aids using the latest in wireless digital technology, and custom-fit hearing protectors. Call Ross Hearing Aids today to schedule a complimentary hearing consultation. 637-HEAR, 637-HEAR. Ross Hearing Aids, located across Shirley's in Harmon.
Guam Regional Medical City. We bring the healthcare advances of the world directly to you. We are an acute care hospital that complements your needs with our robust outpatient specialty clinics. From preventative care to critical care, we strive for consistent excellence at GRMC. Our core philosophy is where patients are partners, which means we work as a team to make a healthier version of you. For more information about GRMC, visit us at grmc.gu.
Man, right up to the end with the Facebook Live, huh? Lucas Stortz is there. Nice to see you, son. Vicky Ganashis Bora. And Vicky, you know, I do a thing on Fridays. We're not going to be able to do it this Friday, but on Fridays I like to do this thing where we bring foxy girls into the studio, foxy chicks with brains. And you were nominated. I'll tell you who nominated you, but it was somebody that really likes what you've been up to and what you are up to now. In fact, you were in a story on my Facebook. I love that. I love stories. By the way, that's one of my favorite things. So I got the stories on Facebook, and Vicky was among them. And I guess she's doing some realtor stuff these days. It'd be interesting to talk about where you're at these days. Dan and Anita Ganj Cruz, good to see you there. Cody James from Air Traffic Control. I like saying it. Maybe I should put more authority into that. The Air Traffic Control. Cody James is online with me. Ken Leon Guerrero, Ike Aseki, Lynn Vince Borja is still there. Kaz Endo still there. Des Mendel is hanging out on Facebook Live this morning. And just a reminder, Des, your segment, as soon as this show ends, as soon as this feed ends in, I don't know, 2.5 minutes, 3.5 minutes or something like that, it will become a video on demand. So you'll be able to share it inside of Facebook. But I will send you a link later on that you can share on YouTube that will take your friends and followers directly to our interview with you and Laura from RIMS in the studio. So we got that. 9:57 in the morning. There are just a couple of other items in the table of contents that I wanted to spend a little bit more time talking about. There's a story in the front page of today's Guam Daily Post. Port cargo screening gizmo is on the fritz. And it will apparently cost, I don't know. This was the crazy thing. I couldn't get a sense of what the number was going to end up to be to fix it, because there were two numbers and they seemed to be, I don't know, I couldn't figure out how we got from one to the other. The cost of a new 3-year service contract to repair the screening system would cost approximately $72,168 annually for a total of $216,504. How did we go from $72,000 to $216,000 for the maintenance? How long have we let this thing go? Because we have this is a highly digital computerized place. And there's a lot in here that is hardware driven. And there's a lot in here that's software driven. And the guy says, you know, you can own the software. We give you the software. What you're paying for is an annual maintenance fee. And I know from very painful experience in my past that you don't want to let that lapse, because it's going to lapse. Something will happen to the computer, something will happen to the software, and it won't work. And you'll need to call somebody, usually in the middle of the night, and say, hey, my what's-it is on the fritz. Can you fix it? And they'll say, we see, Mr. Gibson, at your company that you have not paid the maintenance agreement for 3 years. So get caught up, and we'll send you the patch. And you go, pay me now? Pay me later. What do we got going on there? I got to go through this fast. Who is it? It's who? Oh, it's Mark. Hey, what are you doing?
It's a 3-year contract. The annual cost is $72. That's how you get 200. That's how you jump up to the other one.
Okay, so is it your? Do you agree with me then that it's possible they haven't paid this in 3 years?
No, I didn't read the story. So all I'm doing is telling you.
No, because I can do the mathematics, and it's obvious that the larger figure is 3 years worth. So in order to get the scanner fixed, do we pay for just this year's maintenance, or do we have to go back and take care of the lapses?
That's a question for customs.
Okay, I'll see what I can find. I'll see if I can get somebody on. Dude, always fun talking with you. I'll see you later. Okay, handsome. Latest, 9:59 and change, 15 seconds for me to say, we are KUSG Hagutnya. This is the Ray Gibson Show, and I'll be back with you tomorrow morning, and we got the right-wing bomb throwers on today. Coming up, I'm going to count the number of times my name came up in the write-in list at the Guam Election Commission. I'll report tomorrow. Stand by now for Fox News Live.
I'm Lisa Lacera. 5 police officers shot in Houston, Texas after an encounter with what authorities are calling a suspect. Fox's Gernal Scott.